What's up, hybrids? Welcome back to another episode of the Fandom Hybrid Podcast. This is Hanako, and I am here with Anthony, Lori, and Mike, and we are here to discuss the finale of Falcon and the Winter Soldier. And I say that with glee, but I'm also sad because the show is over, but this may not be the last time we see these characters, so I'll save my glee for the end of the podcast. But what did you guys think overall, just before we get into like the specifics? How do you guys feel with the end of this series?
Well, it sort of left me in emotional shambles because because all of the feels, I don't like saying that, but yeah, all of the feels throughout the episode was just, and then the culmination of this journey that we went on with Sam to culminate with him becoming Captain America I really don't have any words for it. I mean, being able to sit through a series and not have to think about conspiracies and not have to think about different theories and not trying to decipher everything frame by frame, and just sitting back and enjoying the ride was refreshing. And once again, I said it before, I'm gonna say it again, Marvel knows what they're doing.
Yeah. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I just, the way that this came together, even at the end when they changed the title to from Falcon and Winter Soldier to Captain America and the Winter Soldier, like that alone gave me chills, like for real. And just the way they handled it is like they're showing that I should just start calling Sam Cap. Cap is not going to be just a hero knocking people out. He's going to be someone fighting social injustice and fighting injustice everywhere. Like, he showed that he cares, even though the senator tried to say that he didn't know what he was talking about. He showed that he knew what regular people needed. He showed that he knew what regular people wanted people who were higher up to hear from them. And he's showing that really it's just like Captain America, it should be a symbol for all Americans. And he's showing that he wants to be a representative for everybody in America. That really struck me. I have to apologize and say I was wrong, since Sharon is actually the power broker, and because I was wrong about that. But then I'm still kind of.
We'll get into that.
Don't say you're wrong, because all of us suggested it at one point. The thing is, I'm sorry to interrupt Hanako and Mike, but the thing is, they made it so freaking obvious that it was almost. It's almost like, well, damn. I mean, you basically told us she was the power broker. You didn't make it really seem like it could be anybody else. And then so it can't be her. Like, it's so obvious. It
was too obvious.
It was too obvious.
The episode that she premiered in was called Power Broker. I'm like looking back and I'm like, what the?
Yeah, I absolutely love the entire series. I suggested that we rewatch it in its entirety in like a day sitting to my husband, because he was like, this is the greatest thing ever. And he goes, when's the next one? And I told him, 7 weeks for Loki. He goes, why 7 weeks? He goes, I'm not a fan of a lot of TV series like, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is this only one that he watches. He's sitting there and he's watching this and he's like, this is the greatest thing ever. And I'm watching it and I see the suit and I see, him being Cap. He's got the, the old Falcon, which is now the Captain America. And it looked beautiful. They did a wonderful job. They wrapped it up. I felt bad for certain people who died, because I think maybe they could have been redeemed, but it was a cinematic triumph for Disney. And I'm mad because there's little 10-year-olds who get to see this and they get to experience it in a different way than I did with the comic books. And I'm like, oh man, just thinking about their childhoods growing up, watching all these movies from the original Captain America movie up until this. And it's like, I had to deal with comic books and really, really shitty cartoons, So It was awesome.
That's a great point because they're kids now. I mean, because when we were watching, the thing about when we grew up, like what black superheroes did we have? Black Vulcan. You had a whole lot of superheroes that had black in front of their name.
Right.
But he's Captain America. He's not Black Captain America. He's Captain America. And it's like we even didn't have shows like, I mean, like the Black Panther. It's like, unless we were kids reading comic books, we never would have known about Black Panther. We wouldn't have known about half the black superheroes that they wrote about comic books unless you actually read comic books. So if you look at TV, you see Superman, you see Batman, and you see other superheroes that didn't look like you. But in this day and age, you can even turn on TV and watch the CW and see Black Lightning being a positive superhero role model. Right. And it's like we didn't have that growing up. And that really has not been lost on me either. Like the fact that kids don't have to grow up and be, so I'm gonna be Robin, but you're not, but you're black. But he's like, or they can say, I'm gonna be Captain America, but you're black. So is he.
Yeah. So, and I attribute Dwayne McDuffie and Milestone Comics because the first really big one that we got that wasn't black was Static. I mean, Static Shock came out and that thing just blew everyone's mind. I mean, to this day, I think Virgil is the coolest kid in the entire neighborhood because of that. They gave us Hardware and they gave us all the other ones. And it was such a cool thing in the fact that they let them do it. And they had a successful show that to this day, you know, I'll go back if I just want to watch something fun. I'll watch Static and go down a rabbit hole.
Can't wait for that movie to come out.
All right, let's get started on this episode. So as we ended the last episode, we saw that Karli and the Flag Smashers were about to attack the GRC. We didn't know in what way, but we just knew that an attack was imminent. So we start out this episode with the GRC and they're being attacked digitally right now. You know, their screens are all kind of flashing. We see that the Flag Smashers are starting to take up positions outside of the building, along with the police and military. You know, the authorities have received confirmation that there's an attack that's going to happen. They don't know in what way yet. And so as they're getting into their positions, we hear Sam and he's talking to Bucky and he's saying, they're there, I'm on my way. And you see him flying, but of course you can't really see the suit yet. This is the cliffhanger they left us with on the last episode. He was opening the case. We know the suit is in there. Everybody who watches the show, we knew that that was a suit in there. We just didn't see what it looked like. We didn't know what to expect. I'm glad to see that they included his wings because I was kind of worried about that, even though I know in the comic book, his Captain America suit has the wings. I just wasn't sure how they were going to do that in the show, whether they were going to keep that. So we see him flying. So we already know, okay, the suit has wings. Okay, this is about to be awesome. And so we've got Sam flying en route. We've got Bucky on the ground. Sam has said that he has called in some backup and we see Sharon arrive and she's in disguise, but she's there also to help, which that made me kind of suspicious because she was like, oh, they're not looking for me here. Yeah, but you're still on you're still on the list. You're not supposed to be here. But I was like, okay, she's there because Karli is there. And I'm sure Sam told her Karli and the Flag Smashers are in New York. We could use your help. So of course, at this point, I'm thinking if she is the power broker, yeah, she's about to be there. She's about to come and try to collect on what Karli owes her. So in this scene, there's something I want to talk about. So part of this show has been about Bucky's journey, you know, trying to recover and redeem himself from his time as the Winter Soldier, you know. And one of the things that made me catch my feelings early on in this episode, as Bucky is walking, trying to get to the building, he passes by a group of military men. And when he does, the guy addresses him, Sergeant Barnes, and he walks out. And I was just like, that just meant so much to me because one, Bucky has been through a lot since his time in the military, since he was Sergeant Barnes. You know, he fell off the train, he was presumed dead, captured by Hydra, made into the Winter Soldier, spent the next few decades as a brainwashed assassin. And now he's in this point in his life where he's like really trying to redeem himself. And we know that the government has pardoned him. We know that. But still in his mind, I feel like Bucky is still on that journey as far as feeling like he deserves respect, feeling like he is not the Winter Soldier anymore. So to finally hear someone else, aside from people that know him personally, refer to him in a respectful manner, that just touched me, you know, because Sam knows him, Dr. Rayner knows him, the people who have gotten to know him, they know him personally. So they address him and such, but to hear someone outside of his circle refer to him as Sergeant Barnes and not Bucky like John Walker did. You know, John Walker had just met him, addressed him as if they were personal friends. You know, that irked me because I feel like that's disrespectful, just even in everyday life, to refer to someone in that way when you don't know them. I feel like that's a tad bit disrespectful. So to hear someone refer to him in that sense made me happy, you know, and I was like, okay, maybe we're going to see Bucky kind of earn that redemption that he has been wanting so long in this episode. Like, we're going to finally get it. Are we going to get a happy Bucky? That was what I was hoping for. And yes, we got it, and we'll get to there. But I just wanted to point that little small detail out. Like, it's a small thing, but it has so much meaning behind it, you know?
Right. Yeah. I mean, I'm lost in all this. I mean, this is a story with two huge story arcs. I mean, like actually a few, but two main ones is Bucky coming back from being Winter Soldier and Sam on his road to becoming Captain America. So in them focusing on, which is kind of what they should focus on, is Sam fighting with himself to realize that he has earned that mantle, is the fact that Bucky having to realize that he's earned the opportunity to just be, for lack of a better word, normal, as opposed to being like being a soldier on edge all the time.
Right.
He's now a person that he can actually relax a little bit, and he can actually enjoy certain things as opposed to being on edge. Like, is someone coming to kill me? Am I going to get captured? Or is someone going to say some words and I'm going to like lose 2 years because they have me doing stuff? So he doesn't have to worry about any of that anymore, and that's a really huge thing for him. Like becoming Sergeant Barnes again instead of being the Winter Soldier. So yeah, I agree. That's a good point that this is a really important arc for him.
Yeah. Okay, so GRC is being evacuated. Sam flies into the building, and we finally get the reveal of the suit.
Yeah, okay. What was really pissing me off though was he was flying around and they intentionally did not show us what he looked like. We just kept seeing a shadow go across the sky,
and then you always saw the blue flame coming out the back. I was like,
they wouldn't show us. I was like, they're gonna make us wait. They are gonna make us wait. We're gonna watch him fly around for 20 minutes in the shadows, and we're never gonna see the suit.
Well, thankfully it wasn't 20 minutes, because I think I would have been mad at that
1
point.
minute, 30 seconds was too long to sit there looking at a shadow fly around in the skyline.
Thanks for counting. I was wondering myself, like, how long did they just like tease the fuck out of us?
Actually, it was like, because I have it playing in the background, I think it was right at 4 minutes and almost 50 seconds. That's
4
how long we
minutes
had
and
to
49 seconds too long.
Way too long. Like, that's ridiculous.
Well, you know, he had to make an entrance. You know, you can't just show us the suit. You have to give it some flourish when we finally get the reveal.
Whatever.
Yeah,
Everybody knew
okay.
he had a new suit. Whatever. And I'm gonna go ahead and give an early shout out to Shuri for not jacking up the color scheme.
It was beautiful.
Yeah. Well, I didn't
It was
mean jacking
beautiful.
up in a bad way, but like, Shuri.
Yeah, right,
She's gonna
right. But
put her
it
little
was
spin on it, but she didn't.
it was beautiful. And I think the other thing that really stood out to me about it, and this was something that we mentioned in the last episode. So we were talking about the fan memes and the theories that were going around about John Walker's Captain America suit and how it was devoid of any white, and how white in the American flag is supposed to represent purity. I love the fact that Sam's suit is
It's
prominently white.
Mhm.
I think it really,
Yeah.
really says a lot about his character, not just the person, but inside, and who he is and what this iteration of Captain America is supposed to reflect. And I tell you, when I saw this suit, I was just like, wow. I mean, that's all I can say. Wow.
And it's comic
Yes.
accurate. Like
Yes.
that it literally came
Yeah.
off the
Half
cover.
cow. Yes.
of-
Yes. I was nervous
really
about
did.
the half cow because I was like, are they going to do it? And they did. I was like, oh, yay.
Yeah.
And he looks and
fly
he
as hell.
looks like a
He looks good. I think the only thing, and I've got to go back and look at it again, but I think the only thing that I might complain about is the fact that it looks like he can't really turn his head very well. He looks a little stiff from the neck up, but other than that, I have no complaints about this costume.
That's the Batman thing.
Yeah, was that what that is?
That's what that is.
Okay.
It's a breathable vibranium textile that allows for free movement and breathability.
But okay, I gave Shuri a shout out, but I'm gonna have a complaint.
Oh Lord.
She could have given him some of the nanotech. She really could have, but she didn't. I understand why she didn't, but she could have integrated into the suit.
Yeah, I was kind of expecting like him to like put on like do like T'Challa, like put something on and be able to tap it in and go like that.
Like she made. I know we're going into the weeds here, but I'm because I like to talk the tech stuff. She could have probably adapted it to the wings, like to help make them more compact.
Okay.
And light. So, but but we'll see. We don't know what surprises are in store, but it could be one of those things where I think we talked about this before, where because of people who, I'm sorry, are not going to watch the series, the last time they saw Sam in the movie was getting the shield, and in the next movie he shows up in, he'll be Cap. And if the suit has like Wakandian tech in it, they would have to explain it. So it saves on having to put that exposition in the movie.
But I will point out to you, because I'm looking at the suit right now, it's a heavy suit, especially around the shoulder.
Heavy.
Yeah, especially around the shoulder.
Bulky. It looks bulky.
Yeah, that would be the word for it. That's a lot of weight. Now, I don't know if they've ever given us the grams on how much vibranium is, but that's a bulky suit. And I think that if you would have added the nanotech, I think it would have made it worse. The only thing I'm concerned about is how much or how light are the wings are because of the retractability, because we saw they can basically keep it in place when he needs it. But yeah, overall, that is a bulky suit.
I would think that she would make all the fabric is going to be vibranium weave. And I'm positive the wings are probably going to be vibranium.
Right.
The added extra stuff is probably like hidden tech part of the suit, and not necessarily.
So what you're saying is that she paid attention to Rob Liefeld and didn't do all the pockets.
Right.
And plus, also he has like 3 or 4 red wings.
Yeah.
He has to have room for all that. Plus, Shuri didn't have that long either. Yeah. So if she would have had a decent amount of time, she probably could have gotten him a more form-fitting suit. Even though I like the look of this one, and plus, I mean, Sam's not a small dude. Like,
he's not.
Sam is like stacked. Like he put on some fucking muscle for this role.
And think about it. She had to create this suit with him not there. Like,
right.
So, if this is what Shuri can create just kind of on the fly, imagine what she'll
haphazardly.
She actually have time to put into it.
She did what Tony did. She just kind of looked at it and was like, "Oh, I can make that better."
Right.
You know.
This is basically a last minute cosplay if you're going to Dragon Con. It's like, fuck, I need to put something together real quick. Okay, give me that.
Yeah.
Right,
So
cool.
can you imagine what it's gonna be like the next version of the suit? Because we know it's not gonna be the same version of the suit. I mean, even Steve Rogers went through different versions of his own suit.
Right.
But I think if I were to say what I want for the next suit, that the option with the kinetic energy where when Sam gets hit, the suit kind of stores it so that when he uses it, I kind of want that for his suit. And I think he'll need that, especially because he's not a super soldier. He'll need, I think, that added boost because he's fighting against more enhanced beings. I mean, even in the next scene when he's fighting against Batroc, I forgot Batroc is also a super soldier.
Mm-hmm.
Wait, what? He is?
Yeah. I think they said something about that when he fought Steve Rogers.
He's never been in the comic books. No.
Really?
No.
He's just really trained.
He's one of the best hand fighters in the world.
Yeah, but some of the force of some of his punches and how he can throw people far distances, not a human.
No, he can actually hit that hard.
He can hit that
he
hard.
can actually hit that hard. See, one of the things
that up because I think he's got some spirit.
One of the things with Batroc that a lot of people forget is that they usually make fun of him as a character, but Batroc is really, 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 really strong, and he has excellent training. And basically, you can laugh at him, but he can pretty much kick Sentry's ass. I think he did one time back in the early 80s. I mean, he is literally that strong. And
also, to Hanako's point, it would be awesome if like with the kinetic energy, like if he hits it and gets stored, and somehow he can move it up to his shield, and when he throws the shield has some of the stored kinetic energy, and it can knock people out. Because again, like you said, he's not a super soldier. He's just he's a regular human. But okay, he's not a regular human. He's a pretty extraordinary human.
Right.
To be able to do what he did before that, anyway. Like to put on a wing pack and fly like an actual fucking Falcon.
Yeah.
Like he's not a regular person.
Yeah.
He's extraordinary.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that would, if they could add something like that, like that would actually be pretty dope. When you think about it.
I mean, I think he would need it, but if Batroc is not a super soldier, then damn.
I'm almost certain that, like I said, he's like in a category with like all the people that Danny fights, the Iron Fist. He's in that category. Like, they're really strong, really athletic. He's like a master of martial arts, a master of you. When you put all that stuff together, Batman. How many superpowered individuals has Batman fought hand in hand and waxed the floor with them? I know that's DC, but that's just the way it is. He's just one of those guys. There are very few on the planet.
Well, if that's the case,
because when jumping ahead of the gun, like Shang-Chi is not superpowered, and he can go toe to toe with superpowered individuals
pretty much
all the freaking time.
Okay,
can beat any of them at any given point.
Okay,
as well. Okay. And he doesn't even have access to we'll see, but he doesn't have access to mystical arts like
Iron Fist.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Okay. That's interesting. But
so if you were to give Batroc super soldier serum, that would be a very bad time.
Sam wouldn't have gotten up at
that
all.
That would be a very bad time for everybody.
Yeah, Sam wouldn't have moved.
Okay. I got it. I got you. So anyway, so we've got Sam in the building. At first, he's trying to help them evacuate, but then when Sharon and Bucky are on the ground and they're communicating with Sam, and they're like, "Okay, there's nothing going on down here on the ground. Like nobody's entering the building, nothing is going on." Sam figures out, oh, they're trying to get people outside. They're not attacking the GRC inside the building. Karli's trying to get them outside. So of course, Sam is trying to tell them, hey, you guys don't need to do this because this is a trap. And when he comes in, the senator, and I don't even think we got the senator's name ever. He was just always referred to as senator.
No, we did.
Mm-hmm.
So when Sam walks by and tells them, he's like, "Who are you?" And Sam says, "I'm Captain America." And then another person from the GRC says, "I thought he was on the moon." Now,
that is a connection from the beginning from when Torres said it to here. So
right.
It's like
So this is the other thing that struck me about that little exchange. First, Sam saying that he's Captain America to them did not strike me in the same way that John Walker did, because Sam is not saying this as a boost to his ego, or he's not saying it as, "Oh yeah, I'm Captain America." He's not doing that. I feel like Sam is saying this to the senator to basically establish, this is who I am. And it's not because you guys appointed me. This is who I am. You know, I think it's a little bit different.
And plus it finally shows him with the confidence that he said it, he's actually owning it, as opposed to just having it and being like, "Okay, fine, I'll do it."
Right.
He's actually like, "I'm living this. Like, this is who like you said, like, this is my identity. This is who I am right now."
Right.
So he's not nervous about it. He's not questioning it. There's no hesitation about it. He actually is. He's saying, "Yeah, that's me."
Right. And the other thing is, I feel like it's kind of sort of a callback to Isaiah Bradley's statement, where Isaiah said they will never let a Black man be Captain America. Sam is basically saying, I'm not letting y'all do anything to me. I'm claiming this. This is who I am. This is what I'm supposed to be. This is what I should have been all along. You know, the other thing was, and I don't know if this was on purpose or not, but the other guy saying, without missing a beat, when Sam says, "I'm Captain America," he's like, "Oh, I thought he was on the moon." First, that tells me that dude, whoever he is in the grand scheme of the GRC, he never looked at John Walker as Captain America. You know, because if he thinks that Captain America is on the moon, he's still thinking Captain America as Steve Rogers. Two, he said that with no hesitation and didn't even comment about the fact of, "Oh, I thought Captain America was white," or "I thought, who is this Black guy in saying he's Captain America?" That was the other thing that struck me. Whoever this guy is in the GRC, he doesn't have the same thoughts as the first senator does. You know what I'm saying? So that was something I picked up on. I don't know if that was on purpose or if that was just how they ended up with the scene, but I just thought that was real funny.
I'm going to say that was on purpose.
Okay.
Because that line wouldn't have any other purpose to be there except to show you that there are people who didn't believe that John Walker was Captain America.
Right. And that there are people who would not have any issue with a Black man being Captain America.
Right. Yeah, you killed two birds with one stone. Right?
Yeah. He didn't say, "Oh, who made you Captain America?" He was just like, "Oh, I thought he was on the moon."
Or "I thought he was white," et cetera, et cetera.
Right. And the little subtle things, those are the things that I also like about what Marvel does with their shows and what they're doing with their movies. It's just like those little things that you kind of pick up on to say, okay, you know what? Yeah, we know that there are some people in this show who may have those feelings, but this guy is not one of them. And it just kind of shows that Sam, for me, it shows that Sam is on the right track. But as he starts fighting with Batroc in this scene, the GRC people, even though Sam has told them, "Hey, this is a deflect, you guys do not need to evacuate the building," of course, they're panicking because they think their lives are in danger. They're still evacuating the building. So while Sam is fighting Batroc, Sharon and Bucky try to get control of things on the ground. But when they get ready to come into the building, Sharon sets off the metal detector, which at this point, I was like, who's going to stop her from coming in the building? They're trying to get everybody out. Why do they care if she's coming in the building? But, I think that was just kind of sort of Sharon's way of saying, okay, I can't go do that because I need to go take care of something else. At this point, I think she's already acting in her split personality as Sharon Carter helping Sam and Bucky and the power broker. She's got two different agendas on her mind. So right now, while Bucky is going to try to assist with the evacuation and try to protect the GRC, Sharon is going down to the basement, which is where one of the officers who is on Karli's side is down there, and he's supposed to be, I guess, he's supposed to be doing something to secure the hostages. So they split up, and as they're splitting up, I'm not sure where Karli is in all of this, but she kind of sort of sees where things are going, and she sees where people are at. So she picks up the phone to make a call, and it just happens to be a call to someone who is in Bucky's direct path. And this lady gives him the phone, and she's like, "Hey, it's Karli." And he gets the phone, and this conversation, I think, was really interesting because even though we find out that it eventually is a distraction, Karli is using it to keep Bucky from getting to where he needs to be. I think it's still telling too, because at this point, when Bucky gets on the phone, Karli is trying to talk him into joining her side. And her first words are, "Aren't you tired of always being on the losing side or on the wrong side?" And Bucky starts talking to her in a way kind of reminiscent of the way Sam approached her, but he's coming from a different perspective because he has been on the wrong side before. And he tells her, he was like, "Look, kid, I've done this before. It's not going to go the way that you want it to." And as they're sitting there trying, going back and forth, when he's talking to her, he's telling her, "Look, don't do this. The people that you kill, they're never going to leave your mind. You're always going to think about them. This is not something that you want on your conscience. Please, take it from me." And when they show her face, it looks like she's almost considering what he says. Like he's kind of sort of getting through to her. And we saw this with Sam as well. They're appealing to that humanity side of her that's kind of still there. It's like, "Look, you don't want to do this. We understand that you have something to say. You have valid concerns, but this is not the way to get those concerns heard. There's a better way to do this." And you can kind of see she's almost like considering it, and then she kind of has to shake herself out of it. Like, "Nope, nope, nope. You're not going to deflect me. You're not going to keep me from doing what I need to do." And then that's when she was like, if that's how you really feel, you might want to sit this out. And he's like, "I'm not going to do that." She was like, "Okay, well, thank you for your time. You've been a big help." And then that's when Bucky realized, "Oh shit, she just sat here and distracted me so that they could get the GRC." So now he's got to go and try to get these hostages, or try to save these hostages, because the officer, I think his name was Lennox, has gotten the GRC members. I think there are some being evacuated via truck, and then there's some being evacuated via copter. So he's got the ones in the truck. They're getting into the armored cars. And then as he closes the doors, he puts this kind of, I don't know, he puts like a digital lock on the door so that they can't get out. And then they leave. And during this time, Sharon is also trying to intercept Lennox. And of course, it's kind of delayed because Bucky has been distracted. He didn't do what he was supposed to do. So while he's trying to go catch up to the hostages to save them, Sharon, she bumps into Lennox and puts something in his vest. And of course, he's not paying attention. He's just kind of like, "Oh," because she's like, "Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to bump into you. I didn't see."
That was a very CIA secret agent thing to do.
And the fact is, I'm like, dude, you don't think that's weird that this one random chick finds you in the basement? Like, everybody's supposed to be evacuating the building. Why is she there? And she just bumps into you and you don't think anything of it? Like, you don't think to check yourself? Dude, you're not a good.
I mean, he didn't look too bright to begin with. I mean, he was a fairly ginormous individual.
I mean, he looked like he was there to follow orders and do what he was told, not to.
He looked like a knuckle dragger. I mean, that's really what he was. It is what it is. He was a classic henchman.
He's a henchman. He might as well have had a red shirt on. I mean, you knew.
Oh, you know what? Oh.
Might as well. And look at him, like there's nobody around. He's like sneakily putting the lock on the back of the truck.
Oh my God! When he like looked around, he was like putting his hands all close together and putting it on there, like I did it.
But there were still people in the area, which I was like, dude, you're not being very subtle.
Leading to the point that, and like Anthony said, he's a knuckle-taking henchman.
Okay, I get it.
Like he's not the sharpest tool in the shed. It's like notice Karli kept all the ones that were actually decently smart around her.
I was gonna say if he was any smarter, he would have been with her.
Pretty much.
So about those people, and we're skipping ahead on this, but about those people. So the four, I think there was there was four other people that she had with her. What wasn't it?
There's about 5.
Okay, so all of those, there was a point where Karli was telling them, okay, well, we have to do this, da 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 da. And she was like, it doesn't matter if we die. Our message will get out. All of them.
All of them. It doesn't.
Like, I don't honestly, I don't think they were all on board with it. You know, I really don't.
No, we've said this before. Like, I think they were there for the cause, but once she got into the part where she started killing people, they were all starting to look at her like, this is not what we signed up for. But at this point, they're already in it. There's not much that they can do. I mean, they probably could have turned her in, but at the same time, I think that they could have
walked away.
They could have left. They could have said, "Deuce,
they really could have walked away."
Yeah, just like the whole quote she said, doesn't matter if we die. The movement's strong enough to continue without us.
Well, if that's the case, deuces, you don't need me.
Exactly.
Because when she said one world, they're supposed to reply with one people, and they all just looked at her, and she was like, one world.
Yeah.
You know,
the black woman's first one, she'd be like, one people.
You know what it reminded me of? You ever see, this is going to remind you of something. You ever see those movies where everyone is starting to get killed by either the hero or the villain, and people still shooting at the villain? I'm like, what are y'all doing?
Right.
You're not going to win. Just leave the house. Just walk away.
Just go.
I think that happened in The Boys when they were shooting Homelander in the cabin. And after the first 3 guys get pulverized, what are the 4th and 5th guys thinking? Dude,
after the second guy, I would have been like, look, after the first guy, as soon as Homelander got in there, I would have tried to get out. But like, look, ain't shit I could do with him. I mean,
but we see it over and over again.
Yeah, it's just like you said in Invincible with Darkwing. It's like, why are you throwing firecrackers at him? Get your bitch ass out of there! Like, why are you here? Like, for real, it's like, what are y'all gonna do?
Yeah, but anyway, so Bucky's going after the hostages in the truck. You've got some GRC members who are being evacuated by helicopter, and this is when Sharon's like, Sam, you need to go after them. They're escaping. But of course, he's still fighting with Batroc. And so he calls for Bucky. And it's funny, you know, you gotta love Sam, because even in the midst of fighting, he's running his mouth. He's making jokes. He's having conversations with Sharon and Bucky. I'm like, dude, focus. But
yeah, it's like when Batroc first saw him, and he was like, I wonder how much I can get for your wings. And he says, maybe a baguette and a few French fries.
French fries.
I was like, see, now he's that's proof that he's accepting the mantle, because he's making clever quips. I mean, he might as well be Tony or Steve. It's like, I mean, those are right there.
Hey, sometimes one-liners do work.
Yeah,
Yes,
I mean, with him, they tend to.
I see what you did there.
But it's just so funny to see him doing all of this, because he's fighting and he's holding his own with Batroc. Now, again, like you guys said, the suit does look kind of heavy. So, and this is the first time that he's been in it. And not only that, the first time he's fighting in it. So I think he's still trying to get acclimated to it too. But, you know, he's trying to call out for Bucky for assistance. And Bucky's like, dude, I don't fly. That's you. Finish doing what you're doing.
Awesome. Like, what am I going to do? Jump? Get your ass out there.
Right, like I'm not the one with wings, which makes me think Bucky knew what the suit was. Like I think Bucky took a peek. He took a peek.
Well, he made the request, so that he was the one that requested it. So
Yes,
he knew what it was.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah, like it came to the whole I wish it would have lit up like Pulp Fiction when he opened it at the end of the last episode. If it would have like glowed blue at him,
that would have been
that
corny. That would have been cheesy, and I would have been mad.
And I would have been there for it. I don't care. That would have been awesome. Are you kidding me? That would have been awesome. You would have gone along with it at first too. Don't lie.
Maybe after watching it the first couple of times, but I would have been like, really? I had to throw a little cheese in there for real.
Oh, come on. Sam and Bucky's relationship is built on cheese.
Okay.
Basically.
All right. I'll give you that much. I might have been a little bit excited. But anyway, so we get this glorious scene with Sam flying with the wings. And when I say the wings, when they're extended, look amazing. And of course, he throws the shield out of the window and flies out and goes down and catches the shield. I was just like, when I tell you I was losing my shit watching all of this, because I was just like, this is the Captain America we deserve. This is the one, well, I won't say deserve, but this is the one that we want.
Yeah, I mean, imagine because Steve Rogers had shield swag for days. Like even in Avengers when he beat up the aliens and then he's the first time he stepped on it and grabbed it again from the ground. It's like I can't wait to see like the swaggy shit that Sam does with the shield. I mean, we saw it here, like all the little. I would see him like doing flips and like doing freaking loop-de-loops and like catching it and throwing it and shit. Like I can't wait.
Well, I mean, we did see some of that. You know, this helicopter pilot who is supposed to be, or I guess who is on the NYPD, he is also one of Karli's followers. So he's taking these members of the GRC to wherever this undisclosed location is that Karli has for them. And so Sam is doing his air work and he's fighting with the helicopter, and you know, the guy is shooting at him and everything. And then he pulls the, hey, Red Wing, is there anyone on the helicopter that can fly? I was like, oh, we get Red Wing back.
With Wakandan upgrades.
Right. Right. So apparently this Red Wing still, you know, and I have questions about this because we know that the original Red Wing was created by the government. So it had access to a lot of government information, which is how it was able to scan these people on the helicopter to see, you know, their backgrounds, their files, who was a pilot and who might be able to, you know, pilot the helicopter. So at this point, when it says that and we see that there is one person on the helicopter who can fly, I was like, Sam is about to do the same thing that he did in the first episode. He's about to throw that pilot out of the copter. And it was so fun to see him do that. But of course, it's not easy, which is not supposed to be. This helicopter pilot is doing a pretty good job of keeping Sam at bay, which kudos to him. He can multitask. He can fly a helicopter and shoot and evade at the same time. Kudos to him.
I didn't know that helicopters had big enough windows for him to push him through like that, but I digress.
Well, I mean,
well, I don't know. I couldn't tell, but you know, those doors on the helicopters, you know, they're like emergency doors. They can be popped off.
Right.
And they're bigger than you actually think.
Yeah.
So
he throws a shield through, he, you know, knocks them out. They're fairly big sizes, and like I said, they're with a sufficient force. Your pilot has to be able to push the door off in case of an emergency. So you can push it off with a sufficient amount of force.
Yeah.
If I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, they learned from the early 80s on to make them bigger because they had a lot of military crashes because they just didn't have enough room to maneuver, you know, get standard 4 people in a helicopter. So they've been making helicopters bigger since about the early 90s.
Okay.
And also, you know, you don't think that the Wakandans security Black Ops forces don't have access to everybody's database.
Oh,
Oh,
You know?
like no one's business.
yeah.
I mean,
All of them been
Shuri, I'm sure, uploaded every single thing that she could humanly think of, into his suit. I mean, I'm pretty sure there's at least 2 or 3 things that we didn't see in this episode that she upgraded to his suit.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think, and at this point, had we seen both Red Wings? Because
No.
we know he has
No,
at least.
no.
Oh well,
And the
we
little
do find
baby
out
thing,
later that he has at least 2.
Yeah, he has 2 smaller ones that assisted with the armored car. But here's the other thing about Sam's suit. So if Bucky was the one who gave the Wakandans the specs and said, okay, hey, this is what we need for the suit or whatever, that means that he was the one that told them to include another Red Wing.
You're true.
Oh, he likes him now.
Right. I was like, oh, that's so sweet, because he was the one who was talking about, I'm gonna kill it. I'm gonna destroy it. And then when it got destroyed, he told Sam, I'm sorry about Red Wing. And Sam's like, no, you're not. But maybe he did feel a little bit bad about it. And he's like, okay, this is my peace offering. Let's give him another Red Wing, which we'll see how well that's gonna work, because Sam's probably gonna use it to aggravate him a little bit more. But I just thought that was sweet.
It's true.
So anyway, as Sam is fighting this helicopter pilot and trying to get to these people, the New York Police Department sends their own helicopter up to try to deter the helicopter. And they go into one of those patterns that you see always in the movies, where they're flying right towards each other, trying to see which one of them is going to move first. And the New York Police Department helicopter is the one that ends up moving, and they lose control of the helicopter. So at this point, this is where we see Red Wing takes the co-pilot out on one side, Sam takes the pilot out on the other side. The helicopter gets ready to crash, and Sam is on the highway with the pilot. And when he sees the helicopter coming towards him, he leans over and his wings expand and they cover them and deflect the helicopter. When I tell you, I was jumping up and down in my seat like, yes, this is what we need. But it was so cool because after the helicopter falls into the Hudson and the other co-pilot is let down onto the bridge, everybody who's in their cars, they stop and they get out of their cars and they start clapping and cheering for Sam. And I was like, this is what I need to see. Seeing them cheer for Sam. And Sam just kind of looks startled for a minute, and then he takes off and continues doing what he's doing. It's kind of like, oh, they're okay with this, and I know that at this point, nobody really realizes that he's Captain America. They don't realize what's going on. I mean, everybody's familiar with the Falcon, so they're probably looking at Sam and they see, oh, this is a black guy with wings. This must be the Falcon. But either way it goes, I feel like it's kind of cementing to Sam that what he's doing is the right thing.
Yeah, the cool thing was, I haven't watched it since yesterday, but it seems as if everybody had been kind of seeing like live what's happening, and the cheering and stuff is like we were all holding our breaths together watching this unfold.
Right.
And then when he saves them, it was like, yes, awesome.
Yeah. And then while all this is going on, Bucky is having to deal with the Flag Smashers down on the ground.
Yeah, he's doing the grunt work.
Yeah, he's doing the fighting, and of course Karli and her people, they're giving him a run for his money, but I mean Bucky is holding his own against several super soldiers. And when Karli sees this, she says, okay, we need to give him a distraction. So she tells one of her soldiers to light it up. She basically tells them to set one of the armored cars on fire.
I have one note about that. I think we talked about it before, where he's rule number 1, don't kill anyone. Is that right? Yeah. And I think we all have accepted that if he was in Winter Soldier mode, they wouldn't have stood a chance.
Oh no.
But you could tell that he's like trying to be as non-lethal as possible. even to his own detriment.
Mhm.
But I kind of have mixed feelings. It's like I understand what he's doing, but it's sort of really a life and death situation for him, because I don't think they will have any qualms about trying to kill him.
Mhm.
Oh no,
Like they're really trying to maim him and whatnot, and he's like trying to knock him out. And that's why he's basically battling like 4 super soldiers to a standstill by himself, simply because he's not trying to kill them.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the main thing that's gonna be key for Bucky from this point moving on. I know that he's in that point where he's still trying to make sure that the Winter Soldier doesn't come back out. And not killing people is part of that. But I think going forward, he's gonna have to find a balance, because unfortunately, in his line of business, if you want to call it that, he will have to deal with people that he may actually have to kill in order to get the job done. I think part of his redemption and part of his arc moving forward, one, he's going to have to figure out how to balance those two sides of him, because as he said in the last episode, the Winter Soldier is still in there. He's still a part of me. So we know this. We know he's trying to keep that part at bay, but now it's gonna come down to him trying to figure out how to balance those two sides of him. You know, he can still be lethal without killing anyone, I think. But he's got to let that fear go. And I think right now the fear of him killing someone and reverting back to that person is what's kind of holding him back. But I think maybe even towards the end of this episode, I feel like he's finally reaching that balance with himself, because he did have to get a little more lethal with this fight, because he saw, okay, not only are they trying to kill me, they're really trying to kill these people, the GRC. And he can't let that happen. But at the same time, if he loses control and does too much, that might be losing whatever progress he's made so far. You know?
Yeah.
But in the midst of all this, while he's fighting the super soldiers, who shows up but great
value Captain and the shield he got off with.
I'm not even going to call him great value Captain America at this point, because he's not Captain America. He's been stripped of that title by the government. He is now John Walker. John Walker with the Thor equivalent shield, which we see quickly
we can call
doesn't do shit.
You know how we call him the great value Cap? I have seen in different places unrelated to us him called CVS Cap. I've seen him call off-brand Cap. I've seen him called store brand Cap.
So many.
Now we should change his name to Captain Cosplay, because that's basically all he's doing.
God, jeez.
Cosplay of
the homemade shield.
That's
with
funny.
that can lid that he has on his arm. Like, get out of here with that.
Right.
I don't normally like seeing people get their ass kicked, but I kind of enjoyed this a little bit.
Yeah, but you know what? I gotta say, he was holding his own.
He was. Yes, he was.
Credit due, because he was. I mean, especially when him and Karli went at it by themselves, like he was handling.
That was a great fight scene.
He wasn't backing down, and that one time when they were getting ready to go under the scaffolding, and she kicked him, and he just like bucked his chest and didn't move. I was like, okay, then there. All right.
I give a lot of props to the stunt coordinators, because they did a really good job. Because as comic book fans and as people who are fans of the Marvel movies, we look for certain iconic moves, stances, postures, and they did a really good job.
Yeah, these fight scenes were amazing. Not just in this episode, but I mean throughout the whole series. The stunt work in this show is phenomenal. But so again, John Walker comes, he calls out to Karli and he's like, let's finish this. And I gotta give it to her. The first thing she says, she takes off her mask and she says, look, I didn't mean to kill your friend. Because she knew that was why he was gunning for him.
No.
But He says something immediately after that kind of makes me say, okay, you know what? You really could have kept that comment. And she says, I didn't mean to kill your friend. I don't want to hurt people that don't matter. And I was like, bitch, did you just tell him?
Yep.
That
It's like Sam said. Like Sam said in the second episode, it's always that last thing.
It's always that last thing.
And that shows also her lack of maturity, because she's so young. You know, she doesn't realize that you don't say that. You can think it, but maybe not say it out loud.
Right. But and she kind of clarifies the statement after he was like, so you don't think Lamar's life matters? She was like, not to my cause. Okay, we understand that, but still his life mattered, you know. And so at this point, you've really pissed John Walker off. And I think she already knew he was coming to try to kill her. Mm-hmm. But at this point now, if he had any doubts in his mind about what he was doing, that's out the window. But the other thing about John Walker being introduced in this episode, and this is not for me to say that I like him. I don't think his character is redeemed or anything of that nature. But I think we can really see in this episode where he's struggling with himself. Like, he knows the rage that he has, and he knows the anger and what he's capable of. Like, he's already killed one person. He knows that he's capable of. But when we saw him at the end of the last episode, when he was creating his shield, we saw him putting one of his medals on the shield. And several times during these fights, he looks at the medal, and when he sees it, he kind of shakes himself. I feel like he put the medal on the shield to kind of focus himself, if that makes sense. It's kind of like it centered him.
It does. I completely agree.
You know, it's like when he got to the point where he felt like he was going to lose control, he looks at that medal and he kind of shakes himself, and it's kind of like, okay, John, snap out of it. And I think, you know, we've always talked about how the super serum enhances who a person is. It makes them into something more than what they are. And I think at this point, he has also recognized it, and he's trying to get a grasp on that. And I think him seeing that medal is kind of reminding him, okay, look, this is the person you want to be. Because at the beginning, when he became Captain America, I do feel like he went into it with the right intentions. He wanted to do the right thing. And then I think as the fame, as the job, you know, went on and just started demanding more of him, I think he started losing a little bit more of himself, to the point where he took the serum and was just kind of all gone, at least for that particular fight. And then when he lost Lamar, that kind of also took whatever sanity he had left at the moment. But I like that we see a little bit of redemption for this character, not fully redeemable. He does do some good things, and I think they show us the potential that he had to be a great Captain America, even though we know, you know, none of us thought he was Captain America. He didn't act like Captain America. But I do like the fact that they showed that he is not completely gone. And I think that's been the thing also with the quote unquote villains in this show. It's showing us that even though, yes, these people are doing bad things, they don't always have bad intentions, or that's not how they start. It's just that what they're fighting for and the things that they have to do to get there kind of corrupts their soul and corrupts their character. And I think that's the same with John Walker as well.
Yeah.
See, I don't think he's beyond redemption. I think he can be redeemed, because I'm not going to excuse what he did, but he does have some mental instability. And if you remember his conversation he had with Lamar, he talked about, you know, the things that we did to get the medal didn't feel right. Mm-hmm. And being Captain America was his chance to do something that felt right. Mm-hmm. And if the serum amplified anything, it amplified him to, you know, wanting to do the right thing no matter what.
Right.
And for him, even though he killed that guy in a rage, part of it was because that was his friend and someone needed to be punished for it. And even though Nico didn't do it himself. He was part of the group that did it.
Mhm.
So he became the object of that anger. But that's a part of him not being real stable.
Right.
But in moments of clarity, like when he focuses on the metal and remembers what he's doing and why he's doing it, he's actually not a bad person. He really wants to do the right thing. He really does. And his fatal flaw is he has some mental instability issues, which tend to come out in those pressure situations.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because we'll talk about it later, but even at the end, he still twitches his head because he's not a stable person.
Yeah.
And that last statement that he made post-credit scene also indicates that too.
Right. But he is striving to do the right thing. That's why he wants to be Captain America, because it feels like that is his chance to do things that feel right. Mm-hmm. And not, doing things and making decisions on the battlefield that, may hurt individuals or lose comrades because of stupid stuff. Like, he wants to consciously make an effort to do the right thing. And I'm not going to fault him for that. He's just a little unstable.
Yeah, but I mean, conversely, if he really needs to deal with his PTSD, and I don't think that he needs to be a hero or out there trying to do hero things. When he's having flashbacks and blinking, and all of a sudden, especially if you're as strong as him. I mean, this last episode has shown exactly how fucking strong this dude is. I mean, if it wasn't shown before, like him grabbing the truck and dragging it back off of basically metal scaffolding and almost pulling it back to the street by his damn self, it sort of shows exactly how strong he is. And then, I mean, all the stuff that he's done, but it's the fact that he really needs to find somebody to, I mean, even Sam would be the perfect person for him to talk to about this, because Sam has experience in these kind of things. And we saw in the last episode that Sam was actually trying to relate to him and almost got through to him as far as saying things about, I know you don't want to do this, blah, blah, blah. But it's like, as soon as he said, I need the shield, he was like, no, it's my shield. But it's the fact that he probably I wouldn't mind seeing him and Sam have another scene where they're actually talking about this. Because, I mean, make no mistake, he needs to get counseling for this. Because otherwise, he's going to snap and try to cut somebody in half again with a trash can lid, since he doesn't have the shield. And it's just going to be another problem.
And the only real redeeming thing is villains and bad guys are always going to be his target. He's not going to be targeting innocent civilians.
Yeah, but then but then you're going to have that one instance where he killed somebody he wasn't supposed to, like in episode 4. Like he's a bad guy, but it's like
he's still a bad guy.
He had already given up. He would have given up. You could have taken him in and found the rest of the Flag Smashers instead of decapitating him. He lost his cool. He lost his mind. He blacked out and literally chopped this dude almost in fucking half.
Oh, I don't think he blacked out. I think he was very, very much conscious of what he was doing.
Either way, he did it. He did it to somebody who had retreated and who was getting ready to surrender. I mean, who's to say that he won't do that again to someone and he loses his mind and sees red and someone's like, okay, I'll stop. Okay, I surrender, take me in. And then he's like, nah, I'm going to handle this now. And then he snaps his neck or breaks him or beats his ass or beats him to a...
No, I'm not saying that would be right. I'm just saying in his mind that it kind of works.
And
it's a bad guy.
I'm not even necessarily saying...
Because even here, when he had the choice to go after Karli or save the people, he decided to save the people.
I'm not even necessarily saying that he's beyond redemption, because, I mean, as far as we know, he's trying to have a reasonably respectable and ordinary private life with his wife. His wife doesn't look like she's been... Like she's like worried about him snapping on her. I mean, maybe because she's a black woman and she's like, you ain't gonna do that shit to me, so you might as well just get that out of your motherfucking head. But
Yeah.
but I don't. But I can go along with the redemption arc thing, because there's still part of him where he in his downtime where he's okay, and that there's still someone there, i.e. his wife, who is willing to help him through that. So yeah, I mean, I can see that there's probably room for redemption there. I'm just saying that he needs to be the first one to say that, all right, I'm going to need help with this. I need someone to talk to. I need to figure it out. As long as it's not the woman that talked to Bucky is going to give him 3 tasks and make her say, my name is John Walker. I tried to kill your father. I'm very sorry, or something.
Well, here's the
Who's
thing.
prepared
I
to
don't
die?
think that's going to happen now, because we see at the end of the episode, John Walker is now going to be working for Contessa Valentina Allegra de Fontaine.
But therein lies the problem, because a person like him wanting to be redeemed and wanting to do the right thing so bad is easily manipulated.
Right. And that's the other thing I was going to say, because you guys have referred to her as Madam Hydra.
Right.
Going just by that fact, she is a part of Hydra, or was a part of Hydra. We already know she probably does not have superhero things in her agenda. She's telling John.
Well,
She's a
switch
switch hitter, though.
agent.
Huh?
She's a switch hitter. Yeah.
She's kind of a switch double agent. Like she worked for S.H.I.E.L.D. at first, then she moved into Hydra, but she was actually a double agent with Hydra. Then she went back, but it's like in she has kind of a gray area like Sharon.
Okay,
like,
so in my mind, anyone who can switch like that, I probably will put them more on the side of bad than I would on the side of good.
I have some thoughts about that later.
Okay, but I just feel like he's so gung-ho about trying to redeem himself, or trying to be just I don't know, I just feel like he just wants to be a superhero. And at this point, anybody who's going to offer him that kind of chance, he's going to take it. And she just happens to come along and give him that opportunity. But do we really know what her motives are? Do we know what it is that she wants John Walker to do? We haven't been told that yet in this series, and so that just kind of, when I said earlier that I can kind of sort of see him trying, but I don't know if I feel like he's going to be redeemed. I just, at this point, I don't, because of the uncertainty of what he's doing for her. Like, what kind of work is she going to have him do? So I think right now, the jury is still out on John Walker, at least for me. I just know that as Captain America, did not like him, did not want him as that character. So we'll see what he does as the U.S. agent and what his purpose is, and then maybe I have a change of opinion. But as of right now, yeah, you did a couple of things right in this episode, but I'm still not liking you. I still don't like his character. So I don't know, but going back to the episode, like you said, we see him fighting with Karli's soldiers, and as he's doing that, Bucky is trying to get the lock off the armored truck that's on fire so that he can save the people inside. And he's able to do this. They come out the truck, and again, as he's trying to get them all to safety, one of them makes a point to stop and turn around and shake his hand and said, "Thank you for saving us." And Bucky kind of looks startled a little bit, and then he's like, "You're welcome." But again, just these small moments of Bucky's redemption arc, I love those moments. Because again, everybody has known about the bad stuff that Bucky did as the Winter Soldier. Like, that was broadcast on the news internationally. We all know that he's been pardoned, and I'm sure they've made that public knowledge, because I'm sure if he's walking around and people recognize him, they're going to be like, "Oh, that's the Winter Soldier." So I'm sure it's right. So I'm sure there's been some kind of public statement made that he assisted in the defeat of Thanos. They probably have told that he was brainwashed when he did all of that stuff, because I think you would have to kind of explain all that stuff if you're going to give the man a full pardon. You kind of have to let the public know, okay, you know what? this is not a man that you need to fear. He's not that person anymore. I mean, even with the police officers who saw them when they were outside of Isaiah Bradley's house the first time, when Bucky made the statement of, do you know who this guy is, talking about Sam, the police officer said, oh, look, they're Avengers. He said they're Avengers, counting Bucky as an Avenger. And so just seeing someone kind of extend that thankfulness, or even just being nice to Bucky, that's outside of, like I said, the core group, that just makes me happy. Because I think this is kind of the stuff that Bucky needs. Like, he needs that kind of reassurance that he is doing the right thing. Like, he's putting in the work, like Sam told him to. He's putting in the work, he's doing the things. But a lot of times when people see you being bad, or they know you for being bad, when you're doing the good stuff, and this relates to John Walker too, I will say that. But when they see you doing the good stuff, they tend to ignore that and only bring up your past. So to see people actually acknowledging that Bucky is a different person, that he's changing, calling him Sergeant Barnes, like, it's almost like you're taking him back to the person he was before he was the Winter Soldier. You're still giving him that kind of respect. I like seeing that in this episode because I think he's earned it.
Right. He's definitely earned it, as far as everything that he's done for not even just for the United States, but for the world. Like, he is a worldwide hero. Like, he defended the world against an interstellar threat, and he has absolutely earned all the accolades and the forgiveness that he can muster. And I'm glad, like you, I'm glad to see that he's getting it.
Yeah, it's long overdue. At least in my opinion, because of course we know what his story is. Everybody else may not know what his story is and exactly everything that he's gone through, but we know what his story is. It's long overdue, But in the midst of all this, after Bucky gets them out of the armored truck, he gets into a tussle with one of them and he gets thrown down. I don't even want to say, like, they're building another building in the area, so that site has been excavated. So he's thrown over and down, and he gets into a fight with Dovich because Dovich follows him. So we've got several fights going on at the same time. We've got Bucky and Dovich down in the excavated site. We've got John Walker and Karli and some of the other super soldiers fighting on the street. We still got Sam in the air trying to save the people in the helicopter. It's just a lot of stuff going on. So anyway, after Karli, I don't even think she knocked John Walker out. She just she kicks him and knocks him down, and he's down for long enough for her to get up, run to the truck, and take off in it with the other set of GRC hostages. And what she does is she drives the truck into the excavated site. And so, like we said, if you can imagine the site where a building is being built, they're probably several stories down to where the foundation of the building will be built. You've got metal scaffolding to, leading into the construction site. And so when she drives the truck catches on the metal scaffolding. So it's kind of hanging over the edge, meaning that if they move the wrong way, if they move too suddenly inside the truck will fall several stories down and these people will die. Bucky sees the truck hanging over on the side. Sharon comes over and she's standing in the crowd and she sees it happening. John Walker sees the truck, and like you said, Anthony, he sees the truck, and then he looks over and he sees Karli, and he has to make a decision. And this is where you see him kind of do the thing where he closes his eyes and he shakes his head. It's kind of like he's trying to clear his mind. Like his instinct is to go after the person who killed Lamar. Mm-hmm. But his other instinct, the instinct that is John Walker, the soldier, John Walker, the person, he's like, no, I need to go save these people. So as Bucky sees the truck about to go over, he also sees the fake Captain America shield fall to the ground. And then John Walker starts Like we see him holding the truck, trying to keep it from going over.
This is the best will I, won't I, should I, shouldn't I, since Gaius Balthazar and Balthazar Galactica had to decide if he wanted to help or hide. The second time, not the first time around. That was my contribution.
But yeah, I mean, it's a good scene because, like I say, we can see him fighting with both sides of himself. Like, what am I going to do? Am I going to do this? Or am I going to do that? And so he grabs the truck and he's pulling it back onto the street. And then the super soldiers see this and they start attacking him, Karli and one of the other super soldiers. Now we'll give him this. He was still holding on to that truck and fighting off 2 super soldiers. So I'll give him the credit for that because he was like, no, I'm not going to do this. Like, he really was trying to save those people on the truck. But it got to be too much. 2 super soldiers coming after you. There's not really much you can do. So he lets the truck go. He and the super soldiers, like, they pull him off the truck and they fall to the ground. And here comes the truck about to fall to the ground as well. And then, dun, 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 we see Sam in front of the truck with his shield and his wings, and he is holding the truck up. Now, again, we have to remember, Sam doesn't have super strength. He's not enhanced. So it's sheer willpower and his jetpack that's helping him hold this truck up. And then, like you said, Anthony, we see the little 2, I guess, Red Wing Juniors come out of the pack and they attach to the truck. And then the force from their engines also help him push the truck back safely to the scaffolding. This was such an amazing moment. Man,
Wakanda should have just started a tech company after this and been like, Captain America, sponsored by Wakanda Tech.
But that was his Captain America moment, for real.
That was his Captain America moment, and we see that because there's a crowd over to the side, and they're all, everybody with the cell phones taking video and stuff. And there's the one guy, and he's like, "That's the Black Falcon there, I'll tell you." And then you have a guy next to him, and he says, "No, that's Captain America."
The scene, I had the same emotional feeling in Civil War when Bucky was trying to leave in a helicopter and Steve reached out and was holding it, and I had that same feeling. It was like, that is Captain America.
You felt pride,
he's
doing
holding this.
Right.
It's like he's going beyond his capabilities. Like, you're seeing him do something that he has to do.
Even though physically he's not supposed to be able to do this.
Right. And it also reminded the other place I have that same feeling is in Spider-Man Homecoming, when he was covered, when Peter was covered by the building. He didn't have the suit. He was like, those are those moments,
right,
when you can't help, no one can help you. You have to find it in yourself. It was that same overwhelming feeling. Like, yes, he has.
Like, even now, talking about that moment in this episode, I've got goosebumps. Like, for Sam to do that and be able to get that truck up there, and then for the crowd to be cheering for him in his Captain America suit, and the guy, when he says, "Oh, that's Black Falcon," and the other guy says, "No, that's Captain America." Like, you didn't even have to tell him that's who Sam was supposed to be. It's like one of those things where that dude was like, "No, that's Captain America," and Sam actually gets to hear this before he takes off to go finish saving the world again, and it was one of those, it's like, that's one of those where you sit there and you feel proud and you got the tears in your eyes and you're like, it's one of those iconic moments. And then it flashes back down to the bottom of the excavation site where Karli and her super soldiers are about to try to fight John Walker and Bucky. And like, Karli actually picks up a metal rod and throws it at Bucky, and he catches it. And she gets ready to go after him. And then all of a sudden you see the shield. Bonk, bonk, bonk. It's like the shield was playing ping pong. Man. I was like, Sam was like, "Look, I'm about tired of your shit." That was what I heard in my head every time that shield hit one of those super soldiers, and then Sam stood in the middle of John Walker and Bucky, and he was like, "Look, we're not about to do this." And this is the first time that Karli sees Sam in his Captain America suit. And she's upset enough about it because I think even though she and Sam are on different sides of this fight, I think that she respects Sam. You know, she respects what he had to say. She respects what he tried to do when he tried to talk to her. You know, and I think even though that talk got disrupted by John Walker, she realizes that Sam's approach to dealing with things and John Walker's approach to dealing with things were two different ways. And, you know, even though Sam told her that he understood her fight, he agreed with her fight, he just didn't agree with the way that she was doing it. I think for him to be able to come to her and talk to her and kind of let that wall down, you know, there's been different discussions since that episode. When Sam and Karli were talking, Sam actually sat and turned his back to her while they were talking. That's a huge show of trust to someone who is supposed to be considered your enemy. You don't turn your back on people, you know, and he did. And it was kind of to show, okay, you know what? I feel safe in this space right now. I feel comfortable. We're talking. There's no threat here. And so I think she really does respect him. So when she sees him in this Captain America suit, she really does feel betrayed, you know, and she says to him, "You of all people bought into this bullshit." And that's when he tells her, "Look, I'm trying to do something different. Maybe you should too." And we've seen the episode, and we're going to go into it later on about Sam's whole back and forth about should he be Captain America? Shouldn't he be Captain America as a Black man carrying the stars and stripes? Like this whole push and pull that he's gone through since he's been handed the shield. And we saw him make the decision in the last episode. I've got to fight for this. And I've got to make it different. I've got to make it mean something. You know, you can't just be Captain America 2.0 or 3.0 and still fight the same way that the other two guys fought, because again, those were two white males. You are a Black man. You have a different experience of what this country is to you as they did. And he's really trying to make a difference with what he's doing as Captain America. And you can just see it. Karli is just not hearing it. She's just pissed. She's like, "Man, I can't believe you did this." You know, she's looking at Sam like he's a sellout, which, Lori, you keep saying how young she is and how that affects the way she's thinking and her thought processes. And I really think that in the end contributed to her downfall. You know, her not being able to accept that there might be something different, that there might be a different way to do this. Because we see even later on when she tries to fight Sam, it was the same thing like Steve when he was fighting Bucky. He was like, "I'm not going to fight you. I'm not going to fight you." And Sam was doing the same thing. And she got mad because he was exercising this control and because he was giving her this, I don't know. Again, I say this a lot. He was extending her this grace. "I'm not going to fight you. I'm not going to fight you. Karli, stop. Think about it. Let's talk. I'm not going to fight you." And she starts getting mad. "Fight back, fight back, fight back. Fight me, fight me." And it's just.
Yeah.
Okay. Am I the only one, after she knocked him down and she said, "Fight back," expected Sam to get up and say, "I could do this all day"?
No, but that's a good point.
He could have been fighting, but he wasn't fighting her, so it wouldn't have made sense for him to say that.
I honestly expected him to look at her and say, "Not today." That's what I expected him to say. In fact, I was disappointed that he didn't say that. You know, but
I knew he was gonna just no. I mean, that was such a simple statement, but it was also powerful in that one little word. And that pissed her off more because she was like, I mean, he wasn't upset. He wasn't hysterical. He wasn't yelling. At this point, she was doing all three. she was hysterical at this point. She was just like so mad, so fueled with rage. And when she knocked him down and said, "Stay down," he gets up and he just looks at her and he goes, "No." Very calmly, very respectfully. He's just like, "No, I'm not going to fight you." And, you know, we'll talk about that later, because if she had just calmed her ass down, well, no, let me not say that, because I don't think she would have made it out of this situation either way. And
no, she was dead the moment that she saw a certain person.
Yeah. So so anyway, going back to the street fight, Batroc comes in and he shoots I guess I don't think it's tear gas, but just basically,
they're like smoke bombs.
Yeah, smoke bombs, so that they can get away. And of course, we see Sam's goggles also have some infrared technology, so he can see which way they go. And so he, John Walker, and Bucky give chase. And when they realize that the Flag Smashers have split up, Bucky and John Walker go one direction and Sam goes the other direction. And so while they're looking for the Flag Smashers, Karli comes across Sharon Carter.
I got the speech.
And they've got their guns to each other. They've got their guns towards each other, and the way that they address each other when they first see each other, you know that they know each other. And at this point, I was very certain that Sharon was the power broker, even before they confirmed it in the conversation.
Yep, because she had that look, and then here she comes with the damn villain speech. Like it's just like I thought. I think I said last time that the villain always gives a speech like, I wasn't always like this.
I was kind of sort of expecting that speech. Like I was expecting Sharon to talk about who she was and why she became what she did, but we didn't get that. And I was almost pissed about that, but I'm not anymore, and I'll tell you why.
Okay, so she said, when you came to Madripoor, you reminded me of a younger me. I took you in, gave you an opportunity, and you betrayed me. And then Karli says, because you wanted to control the world that hurt you, but I wanted to change it. I'm not interested in power or an empire. I have bigger dreams. And Sharon says, what, like this? Come back home, work. And she tells her to come back home and work for her. And then Karli says, you just want me because you need your muscle back. Without a super soldier, how much power does the power broker really have? Dun, dun, dun. And so everybody's like, yeah. But like you said, at that point, we were already like, okay, yeah, we know she's the power broker. You don't have to give the big reveal. I mean, she might as well have said it when she came around the corner. It's like, power broker.
Right. I think at this point, everybody had kind of figured it, even though before the start of this episode, I was still hoping that she was just deep undercover. Because like I said in the last episode when we discussed it, her being related to Peggy Carter and everything that Peggy Carter was and stood for Sharon to go the complete opposite way, I also feel that betrayal. Even though I understand, at least a little bit from what we know, I kind of sort of understand why she may have gone to that extreme. Because again, Sharon has been on the run now for 8 years. She was on the run for 2 years for stealing Cap's shield and Falcon's wings. And then the 5 years during the blip, she was just out there. And, we've discussed this before. We didn't know for sure whether or not she was part of the blip or not. But when she gets back in touch with Sam and Bucky, it's obvious that she's been there the whole time, on the run, an enemy of the state. And I'm sure we'll probably get, well, I won't say I'm sure because I know Anthony is going to disagree with me.
Why? Don't wait a second.
I was going to say, I'm sure we'll get some backstory about what happened during those 5 years. And you're very good for saying, no, they're not going to tell us. They're not going to. But again, I feel very strongly about the fact that if Steve Rogers had known that she was still on the run or whatever, I feel like Steve, as the person that we have come to know, would not have left her out there on a limb by herself. So the fact that she has been there by herself the whole time, I want that backstory. And I know you said that she probably hid, she probably didn't want to be found, but I want to know for sure. I want to know what turned her from Agent 13 to the power broker. I need that backstory.
You mean to tell me not once during those 5 years where the world was being barely held together that Steve didn't say, hey, let me find out what happened to Sharon? Like, you don't think he didn't have any free time during those 5 years to be like, okay, well, let me take a tally of all my friends who are
that's
gone.
what I think. I think that he would have done that, but from the way that Sharon talked to Bucky and Sam, she's like, you guys had the Avengers, I didn't. She made it seem like nobody cared to look for her and nobody cared to help, which to me, again, that doesn't make sense.
It doesn't make any sense at all.
Okay.
But there is an alternate possibility that Sharon is not Sharon and Sharon is a Skrull.
Yes, I have heard that too.
Yeah,
I have heard that theory.
Because, Val, I'm sorry, don't call her Val. That is also connected to the Skrull invasion. Yep. I mean, we can go on and on and on, and I have no theory about it whatsoever.
No. Because Sharon, because of her Aunt Peggy, has enough cachet and enough coinage to have basically called in any number of favors and gotten herself pardoned within like a month of the instances happened to her. I mean,
okay, so
now and again,
Skrull theory. Okay, I'm sorry, not theory, but rumor.
But there are Skrulls. The Skrulls exist. We've seen them. We've seen them. They've already infiltrated Sword.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they're quote unquote working with Nick Fury.
If that falls in with Sharon Carter's story, then that would make more sense to me than the fact that Steve Rogers and Natasha just kind of left her out there on her own. And
also Captain America was kind of busy trying to figure out how to get everybody back. And even if he had an inkling that Sharon could help him and Black Widow were at Avengers headquarters coordinating with everybody else, like Captain Marvel, War Machine, Okoye, like they were busy coordinating and trying to keep everything together.
Yeah, they weren't trying to figure out how to undo it. That didn't happen until Ant-Man came back.
Right.
Before that, Steve had resigned. They had all resigned themselves to the fact that this is the reality. Mm-hmm. They were looking for Thanos, but
and Natasha was looking for Clint. Like she was
that was it.
Tracking Clint. So that again, it made no sense to me that Sharon was just kind of left out there when Sharon was a big part of the reason why Steve was able to even get back to Bucky. Because when they had this whole thing, when Zemo went in to see Bucky as the so-called therapist, Steve and Sam were kind of not on good terms with Ross, and they kind of had him in a different room, and Sharon kind of came in and like did some things so that they could see what was going on, so they were able to see what happened when Zemo triggered the Winter Soldier. Sharon was a big part of their success with all of that. She was the one who missed her net to get the shield and the wings. So again, for them to just leave her on the ledge like that makes no sense to me.
There is a third possibility.
Okay, give me that third possibility.
The third possibility is she could be working with Nick Fury.
Okay.
There is that third possibility.
Mm-hmm.
They know it's coming, or they know that something may be happening, and they are trying to put things together behind the scenes.
So in a sense, that would still mean that she's still deep cover.
Right.
As the power broker.
Then there's the fourth.
Oh no, a fourth possibility.
It's the Occam raised a possibility that she got mad. She's just like, fuck it. I'm gonna go out in the Madripoor. I'm gonna make a living and fuck everybody else. Which was proven by the fact that after she was let back in, which we'll probably get more into, she didn't care about, okay, I'm gonna change my ways. She's like, fuck it. She ain't changing shit. First thing she did before she even cleared the steps, she called somebody and was like, all right, call everybody. I'm in.
Yeah.
So we all kinds of shit.
Yeah, see that kind of that mid-credit scene where she received her pardon, and then she, like you said, she called someone that she worked with and she was like, get all of our buyers together. I have access now. We'll have weapon prototypes, we'll have this, we'll have classified information, and I'm sure that will be valuable to someone. I was like, oh, Sharon, come on.
It's going to be valuable to everybody. You will now become undercover, probably the biggest arms dealer in the world, because she has access to stuff that makes nuclear bombs look like BBs, like they should be shot of a BB gun. She's going to have access to alien tech. She's going to have access to alien weapons. She's going to have access to every developmental project that SHIELD might have done or that they got from Hydra that might have been scrapped because it was too dangerous. And now she's like, ooh, that's going to give me billions. So she's about to make everything unbalanced.
Mike, what's my screen name?
Sharon Flaky Carter.
Sharon Flaky Carter. You're damn right.
Yeah.
She's shady as hell.
Yeah, but the other thing I thought about it is, okay, if she's the power broker and if she's about to go on some evil mastermind shit, eventually that means that's going to put her against Sam and Bucky.
Well, see, the thing in the comic books, the power broker was two individuals, not one.
Okay.
So it's possible that she is part of a set, like it's her and somebody else. They're the actual power broker.
Okay.
Yeah.
The power broker cabal.
Yeah. Nick Fury, but that's not a theory. That is not a theory.
It's a Fury theory?
It's not a theory.
Okay.
Because if that were the case, why even come to New York? Like, she had plenty of opportunities to take care of Karli. You know, I mean, in actuality, she could have really just kept herself out of the situation.
Well, I think she didn't take care of Karli before because Karli was doing a very good job of staying underground. But in New York, she's kind of putting herself in the obvious position, like she's making it known, this is where I am. So
right, but she didn't really. I mean,
and then Sam called her for backup. So she could.
Well, she could have said I'm busy. She didn't have to do any of it.
No, because she has to keep up the appearances that she is on their side and that she's helping them. Wow.
No, but Sam was not under. Wait. But Sam was not under any illusions that she may not, because he did say thank you. Like, he didn't. I don't really think he really expected her to come because of the fact that she's a wanted international criminal.
Yeah.
Like, she took a real big risk setting foot on this in this country. But if it was part of a calculated plan that she had going, then it makes sense. But other than that, she really had no reason to be here.
Yeah.
I'm just saying. Again, it is not a theory. It is not a theory. Yeah. But I think this is all going to somehow relate to either Nick Fury or the Skrulls or both in the secret invasion. But we'll see.
I wouldn't be surprised if we see her in Shang-Chi either, because I mean she's an arms dealer and I just kind of think that'd be a sneaky way of sneaking that in there. But yeah, I mean, as of right now, this fuck Sharon Carter. Sorry.
And I mean, in this scene, so we see her and Karli. They're confronting each other, and again, Karli makes the statement about Sharon being the power broker, and then here comes Batroc. He's like, "Oh, so you're the power broker?" Oh.
How did he not know? He didn't. He had no idea. I could have swore that she dealt with him before and paid him. So he's like, "Oh, Really? You're the power
I thought that
broker?
was very
How do you-
convenient. I thought that was just used to get them to actually say who she is, because he had to know. I mean, there's no what.
Not necessarily. He may not
Not
have
know
known.
if
He may not have known that it was Sharon Carter that was the power broker. He probably knew the power broker was a woman, but did not realize who it was. You know,
unless has a partner,
which could
and
be
the things he did for the power broker was
Partner,
for that partner, and the things he did for Sharon,
like she was a link to him.
Yeah.
But remember when she talked to him on the phone in the last episode, when she was trying to get him to go to Karli, she said, you know, he said something about them working together before, and she said, I can pay you double this time. That means that that's not the first time he's worked with her.
But he may not have known that she was the power broker. He was working for her as Sharon Carter, the art dealer in Madripoor.
I don't know, because I still think that first job that she paid him to do was the kidnapping in the first episode.
Okay, well, how about this? All of this is because Marvel had to throw out their original plot and come up with something new on short notice using, 90% of what they had already filmed. Because originally the plot was supposed to deal with a global pandemic, which was supposed to wipe out all the refugees. And they could necessarily do that story anymore because of the actual global pandemic. So a lot of the things that don't really fit or don't really make sense are probably because of reshoots and having to tweak the storyline. So I don't necessarily think that him walking in and being like, oh, she's a power broker. I think there were things that may have changed or not included or maybe haven't been deleted that would have not made it seem so odd and strange. You know what I mean? Because of what they had to do at the last minute as far as plot goes. And when you do something, when you're going the way that you were, the way they were, trying to get this show done, and then an actual pandemic happens, and you're like, well, we can't do this. So you figure out how to use, all the stuff that you've already worked on, because you don't want to do it all over again, and you still want to put it out at the same time that you want to put it out. You have to take some shortcuts. And a lot of things that Sharon did or revolving around Sharon are not really consistent. If you look at it too hard, if you put it under the microscope, a lot of it doesn't make any sense. Like, it doesn't really make any sense that she would actually employ an assassin on the premise that he has the opportunity to kill Sam. There are a lot of things about, and then a lot of things about the stuff Karli did, and I don't know. If you really look at it, there's some stuff that I can make it. I can point out a lot of things that don't make any sense. Basically, is what I'm saying.
Okay.
Because of what they had to do with the plot. Yeah.
Okay.
And
Yeah, I didn't know that about the original plot.
Oh, you did? Oh, you didn't? Oh, yeah. There was the GRC was going to release a deadly virus in the refugee camps in order to take care of the refugees. That's why Karli and her super soldiers were stealing a truckload of vaccinations. And that is also why her mentor died, was from that virus.
Gotcha.
Oh, damn.
So all of that was supposed to be a part of it. That's, when they were sitting around. Anyway, I'm not going to go into details about it because it's long and boring, but that's basically why we end up having a lot of inconsistencies internally with story, especially the stuff surrounding Sharon.
Okay. So I'm assuming they'll probably fix all of that in Captain America 4. At least that's what I'm hoping.
I don't think they're going to fix it. I think, like I said before, I don't think that what happens in the shows is going to affect the movie plots that much. So I don't think there isn't anything in the movie that wouldn't have happened because of the show.
Okay, we'll talk about that later because I have some thoughts about that. But So yeah, so now Batroc has walked in. He knows that Sharon, or he finally is face to face with the power broker. And of course, what does he decide to do? He's gonna blackmail the power broker and says, okay, if you don't pay me 4 times what you were gonna pay me, I'm gonna tell everybody who you are. You dumb fuck. Why would you say this to the person who in your circle is the most powerful person and she has a gun in her hand?
Right.
Just, you're supposed to be smarter than that. But anyway, apparently he's not, because Sharon looks at him and she says, I don't do blackmail, and she kills him. So when she killed him, I was like, oh yeah, Karli's going to be next at some point. But Karli shoots Sharon at the same time that she shoots Batroc. So Sharon's on the ground. She's hurt. Karli picks up her gun. She's getting ready to shoot Sharon again. And here comes Sam to stop her. And this is where we get into the whole Sam and Karli dialogue and fight, because again, Sam is still trying to reason with Karli. He's still trying to get her to stop. And she just, again, she's to the point where she's like, you're about to fight me. We're going to fight. You can be on my side or I can kill you. That's kind of where she is. And I feel like at this time, when Sam is pleading with her, he's trying to get her to see, he's like, look, so he sees that she just shot Sharon. He doesn't know whether or not she shot Batroc because he comes in after that. So he just knows when he comes in, he sees her with her gun pointed at Sharon. And he's like, what's it going to take? You're going to kill 10, 100, 1,000? And she's like, you don't understand. At this point, that would have been a perfect time to say, but you don't understand. She's the power broker. He's like, why was this information not given to him? Because she could have used the information to distract Sam, knowing that Sam and Sharon have a background or whatever, since, you know, she's who she is. She could have used that as a distraction to get away. And because Sam probably would have been thrown on his ass by the fact that Sharon is the power broker. That would have been a, what? He would have been trying to talk to her. Karli could have gone on her way and she could have been okay. But no, she has to get mad at Sam and starts fighting him. She starts throwing stuff at him and Sam is not fighting her. And again, it gets to a point where she has the upper hand on Sam. She picks up the gun like she's going to shoot him. And then Sharon picks up a gun and shoots her. And again, if Sharon really, at this point, I think I was cemented in the fact that, okay, Sharon's the evil, she's going to be the evil character, because if she just wanted to save Sam, she could have shot Karli and not killed her and let the police take care of her. But no, Sharon killed her because she needed to keep her secret identity safe. And Karli was the last person, I guess, who knew what she looked like or who knew that she was the power broker. Because I'm pretty sure everybody else in Madripoor that are working with her on kind of shady things, that's not something they're going to tell anybody in Sam's circle. They're not going to tell anybody in the States that, because Sharon provides something for them over there and she's kind of dangerous. You don't fuck with the dangerous people. But it also explains, why the chick in the club that they went to, it also explains why she ended up dead, because we were trying to figure out, okay, so how did the power broker know they were there? Why would they kill her and stuff? So we already know Sharon was in the club when Zemo, Bucky, and Sam arrived. And so she had to have been the one to kill them, because she's like, oh yeah, they're about to tell my business. Let me go on ahead and eliminate that. And so she does the same thing to Karli.
Man, see, I kind of feel robbed, because I really wanted to see the Mission Impossible like montage where they go back and show like Sharon doing all kinds of undercover shit. Like, I wanted to see like the image of Sharon sniping what's her name, then running back down and protecting them, and then like all the other little behind the scenes shit. Like, I really wanted to see it. I kind of wanted to see that montage where you see everything. Oh my god. And then, see if she had a thing. All she needed was a catchy theme song like Agatha had. Like,
no, I think at this point they just expected us to go back in our own mind. Once we had the information or the confirmation that Sharon was the power broker, they expected us to go back and fill in all those blanks ourselves. Like, oh, so everything that's happened in the last such and such episodes regarding the power broker. Oh, that was all Sharon.
It was Sharon all along.
Right.
Who's that being the power broker?
But so, like we said, Sharon, she kills Karli. Karli is dying in Sam's arms, and she tells him, I'm sorry. It's too late now. Don't say you're sorry. You said it was okay if you died. You didn't expect to live. So, that was just
I don't think she was saying sorry for all of the stuff that she did. I think she was saying she was sorry because she knows that she kind of hurt him on a personal level with the little attack that she had against him. That's what I took it as.
Okay. I don't know.
Yeah, she has no regret for anything that she's done because she truly wholeheartedly believes in her cause. She's probably sorry that Sam got caught into it, and she's probably sorry for some of the things that she said to Sam because she realized that Sam really wasn't he was only out to show her a different way. He wasn't out to kill her, out to profit off of her like Sharon was.
Yeah.
He just wanted to help. And she probably saw that and was like, yeah, I'm sorry I'm sorry I was opposed. Sorry we were on opposite sides or something like that. I just don't think that, because there's no way she said sorry for everything she did because she was 100% committed to everything that she did.
Yeah. Oh, but yeah. So anyway, Karli Morgenthau is dead. Rest in peace. And in the midst of all this, the other Flag Smashers are trying to escape. They're trying to rendezvous with one of their people, and they're following their app to go to where this person is. And when they get there, they come across John Walker and Bucky instead because Bucky still has the Flag Smashers phone from when he was talking to Karli. I was like, okay, this was clever. It's nice to see that Bucky has gotten enough of a handle on 21st century technology that he can that he could be like, oh, okay, yeah, let's trap them and get them here. And, he and John Walker are there as the Flag Smashers are arrested by the police. And it's so funny because when they come across them, John Walker comes out quoting Abraham Lincoln, and he says, mercy bears richer fruit than strict justice. And, when the Flag Smashers are taken away, Bucky is like, Lincoln, for real? He was like, it's a great quote. And Bucky's like, not when it's coming from me.
Yeah, he said, great man, great quote. Bucky's like, not when you say it. I was like, oh, see, they're gonna now. At least they kind of lightened up, and I still kind of wish he would have given him like a Hulk side punch, like in Avengers when
that would have been funny.
There and punched him. I was kind of waiting for Bucky to like, oh, that's cool.
That would have been funny.
I think Bucky kind of understands. I think Bucky understands John Walker more than anybody. But also, his qualm was not ever really with John Walker. It was just with the shield.
Yep.
He didn't have the shield anymore. So yeah, whatever, dude. I'm cool with you now.
Right. So then after all of this, we have Sam. We see a kind of a slow-mo of Sam walking through the warehouse with Karli's body. And then we see him fly into the streets of New York where the police and the GRC are waiting. And he lands with Karli's body, puts it on a stretcher. And then he goes into
But Hanako, you missed. He came down like an angel from heaven.
Down like an angel.
Angelic, and he came down silent. Like you didn't hear any of his jetpack or anything. It's like he literally just glided down, wings spread, with her in his arms, and that was
that was a bit of an angelic.
It was heavenly. Even the atheists out there have to admit.
You're so silly.
It was.
Then we get into like one of the deep parts of the episode. We see Bucky and John Walker come up to the side. Sam goes up to the GRC. So as he's walking, you have the police, you have all the news people, and you've got one reporter she's asking him, she says, are you the new Captain America, or are you still the Falcon, or are you Captain Falcon? It's just one of those things where, sometimes reporters, they shout out like really stupid questions just to try to get an answer. And she's like, when did the government make you Captain America and stuff? And when he approaches the GRC members, the senator, and I think he called the lady Isla, the one who took over the helicopter when he pushed the pilot out. She comes up to him and she says, thank you for what you've done, Sam. Thank you from all of us. And, they make references to the terrorists. And the senator says, you did your part in dealing with the terrorists. Now it's our turn. And then Sam asks them about their plans. Are you still going forward with the borders? And they say, yes, we have troops ready now. And then Sam goes into this very elaborate speech. And I'm going to let Mike, because Mike took extensive notes on this part. I'm going to let Mike go into this.
All right. So first of all, what the one reporter said, is it Falcon or Captain Falcon? There was no mention of America in there anywhere. They still there's some, which goes into a point that he gets into his speech. So the senator says, yes, we're going to stop them. That calls them terrorists and stuff. And Sam says, stop calling them terrorists. And then they go on, and he says, these labels, terrorists, refugee, thug, they're often based to get around the question why. And then the senator says, look, I get it, but you have no idea how complicated this situation is. And I did not like his tone when he said that shit at all.
I wanted Sam to punch him.
It's like he literally had a tone like, this is kind of complicated stuff, young man, black man. I don't think you have the mental capacity to understand what we're doing. And I was like, you look here, man. And then Sam gets into it. He says, you know what? You're right. And that's a good thing. We finally have a common struggle now. Think about that. For once, all the people who've been begging, and I mean literally begging for you to feel how hard any given day is, how now you know. How did it feel to be helpless? Now, if you could remember what it was like to be helpless and face a force so powerful it could erase half the planet, you would know that you are about to have the exact same impact. This isn't about easy decisions, Senator. And of course, the senator goes on. He starts in again and says, you just don't understand. And Sam gave him a look after he said, you don't understand. And he said, I'm a black man carrying the stars and stripes. What don't I understand?
Right.
And I was like, that part. You see that? And then at this part, the scene goes to a TV in the house, and you could tell it's Isaiah's house. And you see that, and this whole next part is Isaiah watching his speech, where he says, every time I pick this thing up, I know there are millions of people out there who are going to hate me for it. Even now, here, I feel it. The stares, the judgment, and there's nothing I can do to change it. Yet I'm still here. No super serum, no blonde hair or blue eyes. The only power I have is that I believe we can do better. We can't demand that people step up if we don't meet them halfway. Look, you control the banks. Shit, you can move borders. You can knock down the forest with an email. And at this point, you see Torres watching while he's fixing something. It doesn't look like the wings, but he was tinkering with something at this point. He says, you can feed 1 million people with a phone call. But the question is, who's in the room with you when you make these decisions? And then it switches to his sister watching and getting tearful and feeling pride that Sam is doing all this. And then he says, is it the people you're going to impact, or is it just more people like you? And then he looks towards Karli's body and he says, I mean, this girl died trying to stop you, and no one has stopped for 1 second to ask why. You've got to do better, Senator. You've got to step up, because if you don't, the next Karli will, and you don't want to see 2.0. People believed in her cause so much that they helped her defy the strongest governments in the world. Why do you think that is? Look, You people have just as much power as an insane god or a misguided teenager. The question you have to ask yourself is, how are you going to use it? That speech right there is, I mean, again, Malcolm Spellman writing this whole series has been phenomenal.
Yes.
Like the way that he handled race, the way that he's handled people with PTSD, the way that he's handled like people clashing, and the words that he's used has been phenomenal. And there's so many moments, like when the scene switched to Isaiah watching Sam talk and seeing Isaiah, seeing in his face that he's like, oh shit, he's actually doing this. And like the sense of pride and the sense of understanding that he had in his face at that moment was just incredible. I mean, that's really top notch, like scene writing.
Yeah.
And the writer actually conveying to the actor what he wants him to relay as far as visually. And I mean, this whole speech is like before this, probably one of the last people you'd expect to make a speech like this is probably Sam, because Sam's not the one who gets up in front of people and orates and speaks like that. It's usually, I mean, really, it was Steve Rogers, because he made that speech in Endgame right before they went back in time, and they said, wow, he's really good at that. I'm like, yeah, right. But it's like that's another part of him stepping up and taking the mantle, is that he's actually standing up and speaking for people who don't have a voice or who don't have access to people to tell the people who are higher up what's going on with them and how they feel and how they can help and fix things. And this speech was just, I was blown away. And I'm so glad that he made that senator look stupid, just sitting there like looking down. He made all of the GRC members just kind of look down and take pause and think about things.
Yeah, and the other thing is, I don't even really think Sam registered the fact that this speech was being recorded. He was talking to them one-on-one. He didn't realize that the news people were sitting there recording his every word, and that everyone who was watching this unfold heard his speech. And not only that, in the midst of his speech, you see the camera pan to Bucky and to John Walker every once in a while to get their facial expressions. You can see pride and understanding on Bucky's face, because Bucky is like, again, in the last episode, Bucky said specifically, when Steve told me what he was going to do, I don't think he or I understood what it meant for a Black man to have the shield.
Yeah.
And to hear Sam put it in these words, to hear it this way, I think this was one of those things where Bucky was like, even though he understood at the last episode and he did apologize for the way that he had felt, I think now he can really see it. He can really understand it and see it from Sam's point of view. And I think for John Walker, he's listening, but then when Sam says, when he's talking about feeling the judgment, he said, I know that there are going to be millions of people who hate me for having the shield. John Walker's face looked like, oh, wow. Because his whole thing was he wanted people to love him for being Captain America. He wanted that because he thought that was something that he was supposed to do. And it was a source of pride. And he's never had to consider the fact that it's a source of something different for someone like Sam. I don't even know if John Walker understood or even knew that Sam was supposed to have the shield. I don't think they ever told him that. But I mean, notice the senator never once asked Sam to give the shield back. Never once. Never said, well, we have to. No, because Sam has claimed this mantle, and he has proven now to everyone all around the world that he is the rightful person to hold this title, to be this person, to be this symbol. This scene was so freaking powerful. But at the same time, it was one of those things where being in our current time and knowing the things that we are currently having to fight as a society, as a race in this country, I looked at this and I was like, this is just wishful thinking. You know, it looks good for a TV show and it feels powerful, but at the same time, it makes me sad because that's only the sentiment of a show. That's how everyone should think. To see those GRC people stop and look ashamed, and then we find out later on that they did stop what they were doing and they're considering other options. That is an ideal world, but realistically speaking, it's not one that we live in now. And that's the sad part of this. You know, that we still have people in power who are still not going to do what's right for everyone else. They're going to do what's right for the selected few.
Ditto to everything Mike said, and ditto to Hanukkah. I couldn't say it any better.
So, but I mean, it was a powerful scene, and seeing Isaiah and Elijah watch this, and especially knowing what Isaiah said to Sam about this before. He said no self-respecting Black man would ever want to be Captain America. And it's like, really, Sam just proved to you that yes, a self-respecting Black man can be Captain America because he wants to change the narrative. And you can see Isaiah was looking like, okay, this is how you do it. This is how you do it. It was a very powerful scene. And
I think the line, Mike said it, but the line that stuck out to me was, it would be disrespectful to those that came before us to not be Captain America. This is what they fought for. This is what they died for. This is what they bled for.
Wait, that's he says that later. Yeah, sure. When he's talking to Isaiah. It
all goes together. It's all the same speech.
No. I'm not saying like that. I'm just saying, yeah, it 100% does. Like it's a prevailing thread throughout the series, and it's why a whole lot of people are big mad at it because they're like, oh my God, we're talking about race. Why does it always have to be about race?
It's what Sarah said before. What she said. Don't let those people. Well, she said Isaiah Bradley, but don't let them get in your head.
My comic book shop owner, who has been a friend for 20 years, hates this series because of that. He has gone on every social media platform saying everything from why does it have to be woke to why do they need to have him do this? I mean, when I say, and I'm surprised because I know him pretty well. When I say that he hates, upset, could not deal with the fact that they actually use real world scenarios, real world problems. Yeah, I mean, there is a huge fanboy group out there that is just livid. I mean, just positively livid that this is one of the things that they put throughout the series. Now, mind you, these are the same people who go out and buy the Falcon comic book. They bought Truth when it came out. Okay, these are the same people, but the fact that they put it is blow. I mean, when I say he hates it, he said he was dropping Disney.
But these are the same people that live and die by the X-Men. Live and die by the struggle between Professor X and Magneto.
Yep,
that part.
Knowing full well where the inspiration for that came from. Knowing full well where the inspiration for X-Men came from. They're the same people, but they're also the same people that had issues with Bobby Drake. You know, but they and still buy these comic books, and they act as if this stuff isn't already happening or hasn't already happened in their comic books. This is what Marvel is popular. This is why this is a foundation of what they
started.
Seriously.
Exactly.
Right. But see, the thing is, these people, and it's not just a small collective. I heard that there were so many people on social media Friday pissed off and, you know, saying negative things about this episode because of the whole thing. It's like, one, I'm not a comic book reader, but even I know that that's what the basis of these stories are. Like, if you're going to talk about Isaiah Bradley, you're talking about the racial disparity in society. And I think the issue is these people want this conflict told in their fiction, but they don't want it to relate to real life because a lot of these people still don't understand that this is a struggle Black America is still facing in 2021. Like, we are still going through these struggles. Just this week alone, we just had a murder trial for a white cop who murdered, yes, we can say murdered now, murdered a Black man unarmed. And people are mad about that. The fact that he was found guilty. And they're like, oh, we got justice. No, we didn't get justice. We got accountability.
After that, we had 2 or 3 other people get killed almost the same way. And it's like, people still don't get it. It's like, yeah, okay, we got one thing and it's nice, but it's still happening. Like there's still like a girl getting attacked by 2 people and having a knife to protect her, called the cops, and then the cops came and shot her. And it's like, how make that make sense? It's like, it's still not mad. And it's like, for people who read comic books, they have, and getting mad about this. It's like, did you actually read the comic books? It's just like we said, you didn't absorb any of the lessons. And it's like, y'all want to be mad, I'll get you a cape so you can be super mad, you dork. Fuck out of here.
Right. I mean, it's just, if you are watching this show, like, I've even seen other people talking about how, oh, you guys are just trying to throw race into it. It's not about race. This is not, you obviously are not watching the same show. This show has been about racial inequality, and also not even just racial inequality, but I mean, you're talking about class inequality. You're talking about a lot of social issues in this episode. It's been evident since episode 1. So the people who are complaining about this thing, you are obviously not watching the same show, or you are so steeped in your privilege that you can't see another point of view. And I feel sad for those people, because they're not getting the message that's coming across, and it's just, it's sad. But going back to the episode, after Sam makes this speech and everybody walks away, he walks over to Bucky and John Walker. He looks at John Walker. He gives him that kind of, that universal head nod, like, oh my God. Okay. It was awkward, but also I think I kind of feel like maybe John Walker had a little bit more respect for Sam after this. It was kind of one of those, again, because Sam was speaking from the heart. He wasn't trying to impress anybody. He wasn't doing it for show. He wasn't doing it for optics. He was speaking from his heart, and he was speaking his truth. And I think John can respect him for that, not just for what he's saying, but also you have to think about it. John's best friend was a Black man. And I don't think he ever thought about what Lamar might have had to go through up until this moment. That gives you something to think about, So at least that's what I'm hoping that look was from that character, And then he gets to Bucky, and Bucky has to bring some humor in. He was like, oh, I was texting. The only thing I heard was Black Man and Stars and Stripes. Like, it was a very good moment of, breaking the tension. But then Bucky says, nice job, Cap.
I teared up a little bit.
I was like, yeah, I was like all emotional at this point. Like, oh, he got the nickname, like he earned, like that's a huge thing for Bucky.
Yeah.
Because Steve Rogers was his best friend. Captain America was his best friend. You're not going to be able to replace that person in Bucky's life. But I feel like this was a moment of acceptance for both of them. Sam saying, I am Captain America. This is who I'm supposed to be. And Bucky acknowledging, yes, you are Captain America. This is what Captain America is supposed to be. That just made me. Yeah,
that moment right there is just, that's really, I think out of everything that's happened to Sam, that moment right there is probably the only real confirmation he needed. Because if Bucky calls him Cap, then it's like, that's official. That's it right there. It's because it doesn't matter what anyone else calls it. Everyone else can keep calling him Black Falcon or Captain Falcon or whatever the fuck they want to call him. If Bucky calls him Cap, then he's Cap. I mean, that's the end of the discussion, because nobody knew Steve Rogers better than Bucky, and he called him Cap all the time. So if he has confidence enough and knows that Sam can handle it, and he calls him Cap, then he's Cap. So I mean, that's basically it.
Yeah. Just, I loved it. And then of course, here comes Sharon, or they come to Sharon. Sharon is sitting there. She's bleeding, and she's refusing to go to a hospital. But she's keeping up her appearances. Again, Bucky and Sam don't know that she's the power broker. They just know she's Sharon, and she even gives kind of her thumbs up to Sam. She was like, the suit does look good on you, but in the back of her mind, she's probably thinking, damn it, I'm gonna have to fight you at some point. Her being a power broker. She's like, oh.
I mean, at least she thanked him. I mean, she still, I mean, I got to give it to her, because she's keeping up appearances really well. Like, she is like seeming humble and seeming grateful. And then Sam said, I didn't forget about my promise. Mm-hmm. And it's like, she was just like, I mean, she wasn't just like exactly as I planned. She was still kind of like, I know I'm not holding up hope, but thank you. Okay, I'm gonna go get taken care of.
I don't think she was still I mean, Sam is a man of his word.
Right.
But I don't think that she was thinking that she would get the pardon. Sam, I can ask, yeah, he's Captain America, but she probably was like, it's still not gonna go anywhere. So, we see her and Bucky walk off. Sam goes to save the helicopter guy that fell into the Hudson. And then we move forward to the Flag Smashers, the 4 Flag Smashers that were captured. They're being transported, supposed to be going to the raft. And as they're being put into the armored truck, one of the guards, as he's closing the door, he says, "One world, one people." So this is apparently one of Karli's supporters. Mm-hmm. And so you think that they're going to get away at some point. And that may have actually been the plan. However, as the convoy starts to go away, the truck with the prisoners blows up. And then we see a nice car, and we see Zemo's butler sitting in the car.
The butler did it
with the detonator.
I started laughing hysterically.
Because he went after, when it panned to him, he went, You could barely hear it, but he just went, like, yeah, we did that. And then you see the camera pans to the raft, and Zemo is in his cell, and he's got books and he's got a radio. And the radio talks about how the 4 Flag Smashers were killed in a car bomb attack. And he just kind of looks, he closes his book, he lays back on his bed, and he has this smile. And I was like, I'm so glad we got to see Zemo one final time, because I thought last episode was it. I should have known better.
Did you notice what book he was reading?
No, I was trying to see.
I was trying
Anthony?
to see too. I thought it was The Prince again.
Was it?
Okay. It's the
Yeah,
exact same book that he had in the other.
That's what I thought, but I wasn't sure.
I was like, ooh, here we go.
And I don't do freeze framing anymore. So
WandaVision just burned you bad.
no comment.
So after this, so now we know Zemo has killed the Flag Smashers. So he's done what he set out to do, even from behind bars. His whole thing was to get rid of the Flag Smashers, or to get rid of all of the super soldiers, sans Bucky. And he did that. Karli is dead. The rest of the Flag Smashers are dead. The serum is gone. The only one that's not dead is John Walker. And I don't even know if Zemo knows that John Walker took the serum.
Well, someone said that Baron Zemo is now the most successful villain in the MCU because he pulled it off.
I would agree.
I would agree with that assessment as well. His plans always seem to come together.
Yeah,
right.
And he's accomplished all his goals.
So,
yeah.
He sees a super soldier, he eliminates him. Done.
Yeah. So the next scene we see is Valentina, don't call her Val, and Mrs. Walker. And it looks like the courthouse. It looks like the same courthouse that they had John Walker's hearing. And Valentina gets the news report that the Flag Smashers are dead. And of course, she's like, oh, Zemo got the last laugh, huh? She's like, I couldn't plan this. I couldn't have done this if I planned it, myself. Or did I? Or didn't I? Or maybe not. Or maybe I did. Yeah. And John Walker's wife is just looking at her so confused. And again, even in this scene, I really felt like, why is John Walker's wife even part of this? I just feel like she's just there as filler. Like she really her character serves no purpose to the story.
No, they just gave him a black wife so that he can show that he's down with the people.
So John Walker is trying on his new suits, which is similar to his Captain America suit, but it's black, red, and white instead of red, white, and blue.
Comic actor.
And of course, Valentina just basically says, things are about to get weird, and when they do, we're not going to need a Captain America. We're going to need a U.S. agent. And I felt like in that part, because again, if you're not a comic book person, the name or the title U.S. agent doesn't really mean anything. It's kind of like the way Severus Snape announced that he was the Half-Blood Prince in the movies. It's kind of like, okay, you're the Half-Blood Prince, and I felt like this and this, okay, U.S. agent, and like, what is that? What does that mean? What is
it just means not Captain America.
But I guess he feels like the fact that he's being called a U.S. agent, he feels like he's back in the game. He's like, yeah, I'm back. But it's funny because when she's walking away and she tells him to keep his phone on, he does that little weird head twitch again. Kind of like, he's trying to get back into his right mindset or whatever. And, he and his wife share a moment. He's like, I'm back. And she's like, U.S. agent, ha, ha, ha. And then they hug, and it's just kind of like, I just really felt like we could have done without that scene. It just, I don't know. It's just,
I mean, setting John Walker up as U.S. agent was probably important, but I kind of agree with you. I think that the whole point of the whole fact that he has a black wife is just kind of why, I'm
not even gonna just say it's about the black wife. Just him having a wife in this, it doesn't move the story forward. It doesn't enhance the story. It doesn't do anything.
And it's not like she does anything for him, right, as far as like grounding him or checking him.
She's just there. That's part of the issue I have with her character. Like you said, Mike, they just made her a tertiary character. She's there as window dressing. Yeah.
At least Iris West Allen actually says something every once in a while,
Yeah, it says something, nothing. Gets in trouble, gets almost killed, and has to get saved.
Yeah, pretty much.
So she doesn't even do. She's not even. Well, she hasn't even been in distress.
She hasn't been kidnapped once.
She's just there.
Sorry, she needs to get at least kidnapped once. I'm sorry, but
I love how a character's important is you haven't gotten kidnapped.
Exactly.
Who are you even?
But see, the thing that bothered me the most about this is that when they pull the shot back and he says to her, he hugs her briefly, he goes, I'm back. I'm like, that could be a problem. I mean, that could be a problem, because what do you mean you're back? You were gone for a reason. Didn't it connect in the back of your mind that maybe the reason they got rid of you because you went cray-cray? But instead he sees it as an accomplishment that he's back in a uniform.
Yeah. But I'm sure we'll get to explore that a little bit more. We have to move to the next scene because this scene kind of broke my heart a little. So we see Bucky, he's walking in the hallway, and immediately I was like, oh, he's about to go see Mr. Nakajima. And this is what he does. He goes to see Mr. Nakajima, He confesses to Mr. Nakajima that his son was murdered by the Winter Soldier, and then he tells Mr. Nakajima that he was the Winter Soldier. And when Mr. Nakajima asks him why, he says, because I had no choice. Now, the only thing I don't like about this scene, I feel like it was too short, and I feel like we didn't get enough of the interaction between the two of them. I mean, I understand immediately after that, we see Bucky leaving the apartment, and we don't see Mr. Nakajima again in this scene. So we know that Mr. Nakajima probably had some things to say. He was probably upset, and then he probably really felt betrayed by Bucky, because he's like, okay, you were the one who killed my son, and then you befriended me and developed this friendship just to snatch it from me again, because there's no way Mr. Nakajima is going to be friends with Bucky after this. There's no way, especially since it's been how many years since all of this happened, and Bucky has been around this man for probably a year or two, or maybe I think this takes place 6 months after the snap. So he comes back from the snap and they're friends. And it's like, you've known this whole time, and you're just now telling me. So you know that friendship is over, and you see Mr. Nakajima later with the waitress from the restaurant they usually do lunch at. And Bucky's just kind of checking in on him to make sure that he's okay. And you know that Bucky kind of feels that weight lifted off his chest. But I really feel like I wanted more from this scene. I think that might be one of the only things one of the only complaints I have about the episode, is that we didn't get to see this scene through, But then Bucky also leaves something for Dr. Rayner. He leaves her his book with all of his names crossed out. So, and I saw a comment somewhere. Somebody was like, oh, so he did all of this in a couple of days. I think there was probably a few weeks in between the events in New York and what we see towards the end of the episode. I think, they had to take some time to kind of settle things and, kind of go back to their lives and kind of put things into perspective, and maybe just kind of wrap their heads around everything. I think there had to have been some time to kind of go through all of this, because I don't see Bucky coming from everything that happened with Karli and the Flag Smashers and then immediately going to Mr. Nakajima to get this confession off his chest. There had to have been some time, because I feel like he needed to work up to it. That's a hard confession to make to someone that you have become to care about as a friend, Yeah.
I mean, that was still really, I understand that there probably should have been more to it, but I mean, that still was such a heartbreaking scene. I mean, it's like, and then to have him walk back, because I'm positive that was the same that's the restaurant, and that he just saw her and she saw him and didn't say anything. So I'm sure that he told her. I mean, maybe she felt it, or he told her. But that's kind of a weird thing to tell someone like that. You know what I'm saying? It's like, yeah, you remember Sam? Yeah, he killed my son. Yeah, that's kind of a weird thing to just kind of say to somebody. But I mean, yeah, it was just heart-wrenching. And the way that he just kind of he just kind of walked backwards and was looking, and just because he didn't really want to. I don't think
he wanted Nakajima to see him.
It's like he wanted to go in and try to fix it, but he just couldn't do it. So he was just like, yeah, and then walked off. And that's just, I mean, that was heartbreaking. That was really fucking heartbreaking.
I think it was the fact that when he saw Mr. Nakajima sitting there having lunch, he was smiling. He was maybe not happy, but I think he was more at peace than he had been even when we saw him with Bucky in the earlier episodes, because there was always that weight hanging over him because of his son, because he didn't know what happened to his son. And so now, even though he has the truth and he knows that this person that he had gotten close to was the one who was actually responsible for his son's death, I think just being able to have that closure probably brought him a small bit of peace. And when Bucky saw that, okay, he's smiling, he's okay. This is what this is what I had to do. And even though the outcome may not have been what Bucky wanted, he sees that Mr. Nakajima is at peace, and I think that brings him some peace as well.
Yeah, I can see that. I kind of agree with you. I would have wanted to see more expounding, like maybe Yuji saying, "What, are you going to kill me now because you told me?" What? And it's like, and just like the little more of the pain that he felt realizing it, because it's just kind of like the old saying, like everybody wants the truth, but no one really wants the truth.
Good. That's a good point. I look at it this way. When I saw him and he was looking at him and they sort of blurred it out, that was a good thing for him to finally say, okay, I've done my penance. I've done what I was supposed to do. But it was sort of a relief for, I guess, the girl too, because now they don't have to look forward to him coming every week and wondering, well, what's this guy hanging around, this really, really older gentleman? And he just seems like he almost looked like in the previous episode, like he had something on his mind and they kind of knew it a little bit, especially more the girl, but he just never said it.
Yeah, what's up with this 100-something-year-old guy just hanging around here?
Well, you know what I mean. It just was such an interesting scene, because when she looked at him, she didn't look at him like she was mad or anything. She just looked at him as sort of like an acknowledgement, like, okay, all right, I got it.
She smiled at him, so I don't think.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah. It was like, yes, you finally did it, because I suspect that she probably thought in the back of her mind that there was something more going on than one just having lunch with this guy,
I don't know. I don't think she was that much in the know. I think she probably just knew that he was a nice guy, older guy hanging around with, this older guy. Maybe she probably thought that, Bucky was doing it to be nice. I mean, Mr. Nakajima is quite old. He doesn't have anyone around. So maybe Bucky, there are some people who have elderly friends, and they do that because, that person reminds them of a father figure or a mother figure, or, it's just nice. Yeah. So that could be. And then also, if she knows his true identity, that he was the Winter Soldier, like I said, his information was plastered all over the news and everything. So even if she has that knowledge, she knows that, okay, technically speaking, he is older, even though he looks younger, and he probably feels out of place. He doesn't have anybody from his time period to talk to. He doesn't have anybody that he knows that can relate to him. Steve was the last person. So maybe being around Mr. Nakajima makes him feel a little bit more comfortable, because Mr. Nakajima would have grown up in that era when Bucky was, just regular before he was the Winter Soldier. So she might just have looked at it like, oh, he's just, he's a nice guy befriending this older gentleman, to keep him company, to keep him from being lonely, that sort of thing.
Okay.
She also might have been looking at him when he was outside the window. She might have looked at him and smiled. And remember, she got up immediately after she did that, even though I know she works at the restaurant, so she probably had to go take care of other customers. But if that was a Wednesday, she probably looked like, oh, he's here for his usual lunch. Let me get out of this.
Right.
So,
got it. Yeah. That's true. That's true.
It was probably just a little bit more casual than we're thinking. I don't think there was anything else to look into that scene, or to read into that scene, other than Bucky was checking up on Mr. Nakajima and he saw that he was happy and at peace, and that kind of gave Bucky the feeling of, okay, I can let this go now.
Okay. All right. I'll give you that.
And then of course, we see the scene afterwards where he's gone to Dr. Rayner's office. He's left her his book with all of the names crossed out, basically saying, I've done my work that I needed to do with these people. He thanked her. So I think that was his way of saying, okay, you know what? I'm okay. I may not be perfect, but I'm on the way there. He's accepting who he is. He's accepting the things that he's done, and he's doing the work to move forward and to be at peace his own self. and I think that's really what that was about. So then we go to the next scene, which is Sam going to visit Isaiah Bradley.
I gotta get ready for this.
I'm the same way. So it's funny because Sam knocks on the door and Elijah comes to the door and he was like,
he said, "What you want, Black Falcon?" And then Sam said, "Hey, you need to learn some manners."
Right. Not Isaiah's like, well, he's not the Falcon anymore, but he is still black.
Like that old black man energy, like, man, like it's like, oof. I'll tell you what. Yeah, that's like a typical thing, like an old black guy would say, was like, yeah, you're still black. You know you're rich, but you're still black.
Right.
Be careful out there.
Right. But then we see Sam and Isaiah, they're in the backyard. Isaiah's tending to his plants. And I'm sitting here looking at him tending to his plants. And I'm like, it's kind of subtle. And I think it's supposed to be subtle, but he's picking up like trees and heavy potted plants like it's just moving.
He picked up that potted plant like it was nothing.
That big ass bonsai and just moved it like he was moving an African violet.
That was very cute, actually.
Yeah. But he talks to Sam and he's like, I saw what you did and everybody else saw it too. I hear the GRC stood down from what they were planning to do, and so you must have done something right. And then he looks at Sam and he says, I ain't gonna lie, you're special. And I think in addition to what you said, Michael, as far as, Bucky calling Sam Cap kind of being like the one thing Sam needed, I think he also needed to hear that from Isaiah Bradley, especially given Isaiah's history and what he went through and his feelings about the Stars and Stripes and his feeling about the whole Captain America mantle. For him to say that to Sam, I think was a real weight lifted off of Sam's shoulders. And then just like Bucky, he has to bring some humor in it. He's like, yeah, you special. You ain't no Malcolm, Martin, or Mandela, but you all right. You all right. Yeah. And I love that because I think that's kind of him giving his approval to Sam. And even though Sam doesn't need it, I think Sam still wanted that from Isaiah Bradley. He wanted to know that he's doing the right thing. And so Isaiah Bradley says to him, he says, so a black Captain America, huh? And Sam is like, you're damn right. And it's like you can see Isaiah just kind of look like, okay, I can get with this. Like if this is, like Sam said, he doesn't have the blonde hair. He doesn't have the blue eyes. He's not a super soldier. He didn't have to do anything illegal or unethical to take up this mantle. And I think even in Isaiah Bradley's mind, you can't argue with that. Sam did it the way it was supposed to be done.
Right.
And
it's like right after that, Sam said, we built this country, bled for it. I'm not going to let anybody tell me I can't fight for it. Not after what everybody before me went through, including you. And then Isaiah pauses for a second. And he was like, shit, I almost bought that. It's like that, and keep that energy up. Like, that was awesome. That was a good scene. But again, we have Sam's exposition in this episode is just like chef's kiss, like perfect. Like, he's giving it effortlessly. And it's like, fun fact, he actually graduated from Juilliard, which kind of shows like he is like he's an actor's actor. Like he's really like giving exposition without it seeming forced, without it seeming like it's something he doesn't actually believe that he's saying. Like he's actually saying this like this is him. Like he did a really good job, especially in this episode of becoming Sam Wilson and Sam Wilson becoming Cap. Like he did a really good job on everything that he said was believable. Mm-hmm. and it's really applaudable.
They have really good chemistry because even at this part, when he says that to Sam is like, man, do you ever lighten up?
Right.
And Elijah comes out and he was like, nope. So you kind of get to see these three characters, these three generations. And like you guys keep saying, Elijah eventually becomes the leader of the Young Avengers. So I think they're kind of maybe just kind of giving us that little hint there. But
Right.
I like the chemistry that you see with these three. And then Sam says to him, he said, why don't you go clean up? I want to show you something. And he takes them to the Captain America Museum. And you see them walking around, they're looking at the things, but then Sam keeps walking past all the Captain America stuff, and he walks into another part of the exhibit. And when Isaiah comes around the corner and he kind of catches himself and he grabs his grandson's shoulder, emotional, like, I can't even get through this part. So Sam has had a part of the exhibit added to include a statue of Isaiah Bradley as a soldier. And it includes, I think, pictures from his years of service. And then there's also a monument there to Isaiah Bradley. And it says, Isaiah Bradley is an American hero whose name went unknown for far too long. Isaiah was one of a dozen African-American soldiers who were recruited against their will and without their consent for participation in human testing in pursuit of the super soldier serum. Most did not survive. The few who lived through testing were sent on secret missions during the Korean War. During the conflict against all odds, Isaiah Bradley rescued his fellow soldiers and 28 other POWs from behind enemy lines. However, fearful of the ramifications of a Black super soldier, some individuals within the government tried to erase Isaiah's story from history. His family was issued a falsified death certificate, and for decades, the truth of his unflinching bravery was buried. Yeah, apparently Sam went and told them Isaiah's story without exposing the fact that Isaiah is still alive. And Sam says to him, now they will never forget what you did for this country. Never. And I'm telling you, at this point, I was full out waterworks. Because Sam had to go in there and be like, okay, you know what, y'all need to add this. I don't give a fuck what y'all do. I don't care what y'all have to move. And I think just that information, just knowing that he did that, Isaiah was moved to tears, and rightfully so. And then you get to sit there and show that to your grandson to say, look, I was here, I did this, I mattered. That was such a powerful scene, like so powerful. I cried. I had to pause it. And I was at work watching this. I was like, oh, wait, hold up. Okay. But I mean, it's just, that was such a powerful scene.
I'm still like misting up thinking about it. I mean, it's like, it's something when you finally get your due. It's kind of like, I remember like the first time I saw Hidden Figures, the movie, and we started talking about those three women who got none of the props that they needed. And then Obama gave her the Congressional Medal of Honor. Like, I teared up like heavily, because it's like when you've done so much for your country or someone or anything, and you don't get like immediate gratification or immediate props for it, when someone is something, when you finally get the recognition that you deserve, that is like, it's heartening, and it just lightens your heart. And it's, I mean, this for Isaiah was just amazing. I just, man, I'm sorry, I can't.
Yeah, it was a pretty good, powerful moment, I think, for everybody. I mean, I don't really have the words for it.
I'm glad that it was included. I think that's such an important thing for everyone to see, that there are some parts of history that are left out, and those stories should not be forgotten. And even though, yes, this is a fictional account, there are Black men and women who have gone through that sort of thing in real life, who have had testing done against their will, who have had things done to them against their will to advance other people's agendas. And those stories are never told. And this scene just really shows the importance of getting those stories out there. Yeah, so that was a great scene. And then to follow it up, we had to have a little bit of a heavy moment, a little bit of an emotional moment, and then the final scene that we get for the show, we get the barbecue and Bucky is invited.
Bucky gets invited to the barbecue.
And I have to say, this scene made me happy for like so many different reasons, because you really get to see Bucky completely lighthearted and completely like free from burdens, free from guilt. He was playful with the kids, and I cannot tell y'all how many memes I have seen over the last week. People have taken that meme of him waking up on Sam's couch while the nephews were playing, and they when he was smiling, they're like, "Oh, I'm gonna be your stepdaddy soon." Just those little things. But it's so funny. So he comes and he's playing with the nephews, and my daughter was laughing. She said he even brought something to the cookout. He didn't show up empty-handed. But,
thank God. I'm glad he didn't bring potato salad. I was like, oh God, they're gonna have.
No, it looks like he brought an Oreo cake, but
like that's any better.
Yeah, that wasn't like a subliminal message or anything. I'm surprised he didn't give it straight to Sam's sister. Like, hey, here's an Oreo cake. It's black and.
I'm curious to know what Steve's mother looked like. Just wondering.
Yeah,
because her name was Sarah.
Sarah too. Yeah.
I took more issue with the fact that pecan pie did not look right. I'm sorry, that pecan pie looked like it wasn't quite done or overcooked or something.
It looked a little big, didn't it? It didn't look right.
Yeah, it did.
It just didn't look right.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
You know what that was? That was somebody. When you go to cookouts, you always have that one person who you can't trust to cook. You be like, man, just pick up a pie or something. And he picked up. And they even messed up picking up the pie.
I'm looking at it now. It looks like a pecan pie, but I'm not a big pecan pie fan, so it looks nasty to me regardless. but I mean, it looks okay. It looks like it might have been just slightly overcooked. But I mean, here in the South, you kind of do that just kind of to make sure that it's
done
perfect. It looks like a pecan pie should, but again, I don't like pecan pie, so. But this whole scene was just it was fun. You don't see any conflict, you don't see any hidden agendas. You just see Bucky and Sam with Sam's family, with Sam's neighborhood. They're eating, they're having a good time. Bucky is telling stories while kids are hanging off the vibranium arm. Sam is taking pictures with some of the neighborhood people, and it was a lot of lighthearted fun. And the way the scene ended was Sam was looking out over the water at the sunset, and Bucky comes and stands up behind him, and it was perfect. I just loved it. Like, Bucky's part of the family now in every way.
Oh yeah. Oh.
But it was just seeing these two bond and become true friends after everything that they've gone through. Just to see it in this way, I was like, okay, I'm really mad now at this point because we're not getting any more of these two. And then we get the title card to end the show, and it says Captain America and the Winter Soldier. I was like, wait, are they giving us another season? That's the thing that everybody was like, oh, they're going to give us another season, because all of the stuff that they've done in this show and some of the questions that they left us with, you kind of have to go on with the story to kind of answer those questions. So I was like, okay, maybe they are going to do a different season. But we found out yesterday that they are actually going to do a fourth Captain America movie with Sam Wilson as Captain America. I am here for it. The only issue I have is, are they going to keep calling Bucky the Winter Soldier?
Well, that's the only name that he really has. I mean,
unless they're gonna call him White Wolf.
Well, yeah, they could do that too.
Thank you.
But
yeah. Now, if they want to call it Captain America and the White Wolf, I'll be all for it. I mean, either way it goes, at this point, I don't care. As long as I get to see Sam Wilson and Bucky Barnes on my screen again, I don't care if it's a TV screen, I don't care if it's a movie screen. As long as I get to see these two again, I'm happy, because even before this series started, those two were two of my favorite characters. This series has cemented the fact that they are my two favorite characters in the MCU. Period.
I have an issue with them saying the fourth Captain America film, because in my mind, the third movie, Civil War, I didn't consider that a Captain America film. I consider that a general MCU film because they specifically did the Civil War storyline.
I mean, if anything, it probably should have been the Winter Soldier Civil War. Or it's like, because I mean, really, Cap didn't really. I mean, the thing was, it's like there's really the Winter Soldier killing Tony's parents. Cap really didn't have that big of a role in any of it.
Yeah, I'll give you that. Yeah, right. That's why I don't consider it a Captain America film.
Yeah, I disagree with that because Cap's role in that was the fact that he disagreed with the Sokovia Accords and he refused to sign it, and him refusing to sign it also caused other people to refuse to sign it, and that was what brought on the whole, it's kind of
that is actually the storyline of Civil War. That's the actual storyline to the comic book Civil War. That entire movie.
Say that wasn't.
You see what I'm saying?
But to say that Cap did not have a big role in that film, I disagree with that.
Oh, no, I'm not saying that. I'm saying that I don't think it should have been called the third Captain America movie because it wasn't about Cap. It was about the Civil War storyline. That's just my opinion. That's what I'm saying.
I get it. But, I mean, it was titled Captain America Civil War. And, so,
I don't
and that was the end of his trilogy. And, I know a lot of people with the series, especially with the fact that they mention Captain America so much, have been speculating about whether or not we're going to see Captain America again. But I can't help but notice every time that they've talked about Captain America in this series, they always say that he's gone. They never said that he's dead. They've always said that he's gone. He's not around. They've never confirmed that Steve Rogers is dead. And like you said, Mike, just like in the first episode and in the last episode, they made mentions of Steve Rogers being on the moon. That can't be coincidence.
Yeah, maybe he's the new Watcher. There's actually what I want to see that I'm not sure they're probably not going to do it, but it is canon. Steve Rogers did come back and do a team up with Deadpool.
I have seen online that Ryan Reynolds has actually asked Marvel to put him in a movie with Robert Downey Jr. and Chris Evans as Deadpool and Iron Man and Captain America. Don't know if it'll happen. I would be here for that if it does. I'm just ready for them to put Deadpool in the MCU and interact with those characters because I'm ready for that laugh.
I'm just ready for another Deadpool movie. I mean, because rest in peace, Stan. Stan can't make his cameos. It's like, I mean, I would love to see like Deadpool walking around like eating a burrito and then like looking like a car flips over him and he's like, "Oh, that's odd."
Yeah. I mean, we got our Deadpool cable movie, so that made me happy.
Well, I just want I want a TV series with Bucky, and I think if he was like, remember when Steve was on the run and he was not Captain America, he was the Nomad.
Yeah,
I would like to see a show called Nomad with Bucky.
That would be actually cool.
It'd be like a super soldier version of Kung Fu, where he's just like wandering and like helping people out.
Yeah,
that'd be dope.
That'd be cool. Yeah. That would be, and I forgot about Nomad. You're right. That would be cool.
I would love to see that.
So we got the end title card, Captain America and the Winter Soldier, and then we get a mid-credit scene, which we've already talked about, Sharon, going for her pardon hearing, and then immediately afterwards getting on the phone to tell someone to get their buyers together because she's about to have access to a whole bunch of stuff. So especially after I saw the end credit scene, I was like, they've got to do a second season. They've got to. They can't just leave, or they've got to do a different show focusing on Sharon's character, because I was like, you can't, there's no way you can just leave us with that large cliffhanger with Sharon's character. So if they're doing another Captain America movie, they may end up making Sharon's Power Broker story a part of that series. I don't know if they're going to do another trilogy or what they're going to do. I mean, Marvel's got a lot of stuff going on in the next few years. We're going to be very busy on this podcast talking about all of that stuff. But yeah, I'm really curious to see what they're going to do with her character and how they're going to move forward with that in the MCU.
Yeah, it's gonna be that'll be interesting. I wonder if she's probably gonna figure kind of prominently in Armor Wars, I can see, because I mean if she's dealing arms from SHIELD, I'm sure there's something in there that they can probably just jab her in there real quick and give her a little bit of play in that too. It's gonna be interesting to see, because I mean she's definitely a power player now. So, I mean, they have to do, I mean, that's kind of a payoff that's something they kind of have to pay off.
Right. Let's see, what else? Do you guys think we're going to see Zemo again in any future MCU product?
Yeah, there has to be, there's going to be a Thunderbolts movie. There has to be.
Yeah, I was going to say, there's going to be a Thunderbolts movie.
You think it's going to be a movie or a TV show?
Oh, I would love to see a TV show versus a movie, but they won't do it. They'll do a movie.
You know, I wouldn't.
Yeah, if they do a 6-episode.
Yeah, I wouldn't doubt they would do a movie. I mean,
I wouldn't be mad at
show.
I wouldn't be mad.
I mean, no, wouldn't need it.
Okay.
I have a question. Okay, so now that we've gone through all this, and this is like this is basically like a 6-hour movie. I mean, this was so deep and enthralling. I want to know from you guys which part of this whole series was the best to you, like most hard-hitting, emotional, like which part of this is the best, what really affected you and like sticks with you?
I would say first, Bucky having to deal with his PTSD and his struggle adjusting back to the real world sticks with me a lot.
Yeah.
That mental health issues again, and then Sam's struggle with really trying to find himself.
Yeah.
I think those two things, and Isaiah Bradley's story, those three things really make this story shine for me.
I would say that the Isaiah Bradley stuff, of course, but I'm also going to say the whole Karli storyline, because this is a kid who literally was not trying to basically take control of the world. She just wanted the world that was taken away from her restored somewhat. And I really hated the fact that she died at the end. I think that Sam, like we said earlier, almost had her where she was going to turn a corner. So I found that whole thing just heartbreaking. Plus, I think the actress that they had, Erin Kellyman, I thought she did a phenomenal job. And it was like, those are the two things, that and Isaiah.
I don't think I can pick just like one favorite thing, because there were so many things about this show to love and that really touched me. Agreeing with both Anthony and Lori, the Isaiah Bradley stuff definitely touched some nerves and was emotional to watch and to learn about his history, and to, especially knowing that history and that backstory was actually taken from other events that really happened in our history. That was very emotional. Sam's journey, figuring out who he is and who he is within all of this, and also Bucky's kind of redemption arc that we got to see a little bit more of in this show than we did in the films. That was great to see. And then I'm a person, I'm one of those people. I have a lot of people that I met through fandom that have become family to me. Family is not always about blood. And to see that take place in this series with Sam and Bucky, especially like I've said before, them coming from a place where they were on opposite sides of the law at one point. That's how that story started. And then when they were together, it was a very antagonistic type of relationship or friendship or just kind of acquaintanceship, to be honest. And then to see it build and to grow to where it was at the end, that was very touching for me as well, because again, I have a lot of people that I consider family because of those kinds of things. And this just, yeah, all of that was just amazing to me in this show. Again, these two characters have cemented themselves as my two favorite characters in the MCU, not just separate, but them as a team, period.
Yeah.
They're my favorites. And this show is probably right there at the top of my favorite Marvel pieces of all time.
Yeah. I think that for me personally, I agree with all of you. I think the Isaiah Bradley storyline was, like I said in the episode 2, it was about fucking time that they did it, because I've literally been waiting since they showed Captain America: The First Avenger. I was literally wondering how if and how they were going to integrate Isaiah Bradley's story into this, because it's kind of integral, because he's the one that made it possible for there to be Steve Rogers. So that really got to me. But the two things that really hit me were when in episode 2, when they were doing the interrogation, where Bucky said that he was wrong about you, and if he was wrong about you, then he was wrong about me. I really felt that, because it's something where Bucky doesn't have the confidence to say that he doesn't really feel like he's a good person, but the only person that made him think that he could actually be a good person was Steve. And he trusted Steve's opinion about him implicitly, and he trusted Steve's opinion about everything. So and he trusted Steve's opinion about Sam, that he was going to give him the shield, and Sam gave it away. So he was like, well, fuck, I guess maybe he was wrong about Sam having the stuff to be Captain America. And if he was wrong about him being that, maybe he was wrong about me being able to have retribution and being able to be a better person. And that was just, even though it was a short scene, it was really deep. The other thing that really hit home for me, that a lot of people still really don't talk about, and it kind of befuddles me, is the scene in the last episode after Sam was training and everything, when his nephew walked up and traced the top part of the star on his shield. That really hit me, because, as I said before, representation matters. And as I said in the first part, when we first started recording, it's like when we, as older people, were watching movies and superhero, reading comics and doing all this other stuff, we didn't have people that looked like us in roles of being the hero or being the superhero or being the one that saves the day. It's like we really didn't have a lot of that, because even though some things, for example, the person that they based Lone Ranger off of was black, but when you see him, he's white. So it's like a lot of our stuff, either they don't exist or they've been whitewashed. But it's like kids today can see Black Panther, they can see Sam Wilson, they can see Black Lightning, and like they can see it prominently, like as a main character, as someone who is in the forefront, changing things and being a good guy and being the hero. And it's not like, because in the Justice League, for example, they had Black Vulcan, and it's like there was an Asian guy that could make tornadoes, but it's like they were tertiary characters. They were on the side. They weren't the people that were actually forward and saving the day. You know what I'm saying? It's like, but nowadays, it's like kids can see Black characters, Asian characters, Hispanic characters who are at the forefront saving the day. And I think that's very important, that kids can see. I mean, it's just like seeing a Black president, just seeing like a Black and Asian vice president, Black Asian female vice president. It's like seeing these things that you know that they're possible. It's like if you didn't see things, you're like, well, I'm just going to go and do whatever. But it's like people can actually see things and be like, you know what? I can do that one day. It's just like seeing Mae Jemison go up to space and become an astronaut. It's like, I can do that. You know what I'm saying? It's like, because when I was a kid, I wanted to be an astronaut, but I didn't see a Black astronaut until like Ron McNair. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, guy in Blueford. It's like you don't see until I was like, you don't really see them that often. So the more often you see it, the more often the representation is there. And it's like that's the whole thing that really hit me, because it's like when I would go see Black Panther at the end of the movie, I saw a little boy walking in front of me, and he had on the costume, and it got me. Like I was crying a little bit, because I was like, yeah, I was like, see, that's why, because we need these heroes. We need heroes from every stripe of life, every race, every gender. We need a wide spectrum of heroes to appeal to everybody watching, because if you don't see it, you don't know that you can do it. So I just that's the thing that really got me.
Yeah. Oh, but we're at the end. No more Sam, no more Bucky, at least for a while. That makes me very sad.
Loki needs to hurry up.
Yeah, but yes, we do have Loki to look forward to. We do have the What If series coming out. Hawkeye has wrapped, so we should be getting that series soon. So we do have other Marvel series to look forward to. Hopefully, fingers crossed, Black Widow will be released in theaters in the next couple of months. So we have other Marvel things to look forward to that we will be discussing on this podcast. So while this is our last show on this podcast talking about the Falcon and the Winter Soldier, I will be discussing it again next month as part of a roundtable episode for the Marvelous Madams podcast. And I will be doing that episode with Charles from the Sci-Fi Party Line podcast, and also Daryl Taylor from the Taylor Network of podcasts. So that episode will be recorded next month and will be released on Memorial Day. So I hope you guys will check that out as well. But for now, that is it for our show. You can find us online at www.fandomhybrid.com. We are on social media on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Fandom Hybrid. You can listen to us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, and other major podcast streaming platforms. Thanks for listening. We hope you join the conversation next time.